Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people, shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.
All right, good morning. Sorry a little bit late this morning, but welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. It is Friday tailgate kickoff to the weekend. We're going to be talking about all things Detroit Lions this morning, a little bit of Seahawks, actually a lot of Seahawks today, and then we're going to get into our weekly pick'ems. So hour two, let's get the roster up. Hour two is going to be mostly weekly pick'ems this week. Good morning, Eric. How you doing today? Oh, I lost you. Hold on. There you are.
Hey, I'm fantastic this morning. How's everybody doing?
Doing good over here, buddy. Doing good. All right, let's get to the roster real quick and see what we got on deck today. It's a pretty simple roster today. So we're going to talk about Aiden Hutchinson's media recap. He had some good things to say, kind of funny. We'll explore that. Geno Smith, same thing. Want to get into his media recap, some notes. Of course, injuries. Where are we at in the injury front heading into this weekend? Both Seahawks and the Lions. And then the injury report will come out later on this afternoon. And then the Hawks O-line. Is it in trouble? Is this another week that Aiden Hutchinson gets to have an opportunity? That's going to be a big question that's going to get answered on Monday night. And then the Hawks D-line. This could be the best defense we've faced yet. But there's a few caveats. Have they really been tested? Have the Seahawks really been tested? And you know, both Eric and I have heard it from multiple different outlets. Even the Seahawks wonder if they've been tested. So it's kind of interesting rolling into it. I don't know why the roster just changed, but we'll move it back. Hour two, Hawks opponents. That's what we're going to talk about. Have they been tested? And then weekly pick'ems to round out the day. And then, of course, later on this afternoon, we have another special opportunity to do a crossover podcast. Dan Viens is going to join Rock Down Detroit Lions today. Has an excellent podcast over there, Seahawks Forever, and really enjoyed listening to him this week. Yeah, he's decided to join us right around the noon hour today, and take a listen to what he has to say. It's going to be a great insight. I sent him a whole list of questions last night. And we'll get into some of that stuff today. I'm going to save a lot of it for this afternoon so that we don't get too much of the same stuff all the time. And then Sunday, I'm doing the blackout, and we're going to be recapping everything. So once we get all the information over the weekend and everything that's happening, we're going to do a blackout episode, special episode just for this Monday night game. Eric, how you doing, man? Let's kick it off. What would you like to start with? Anything on your mind?
Oh,
it's a loaded question, right?
Yeah, well, the injuries are the thing that's worrying me the most. You know, we sat Frank down for the week, but I did look at the practice report, and let me see if I can pull it up here. Let me see right here. So the practice report for yesterday, Sam Laporta did not practice. That is concerning. Ife Melifonwu is still not practicing. Frank Ragnow, of course, did not practice. Dan Skipper did not practice with ribs. But here comes the good part. Brian Branch practiced yesterday. Okay. Limited practice. Aleem McNeil practiced on limited Levi O. I can't say his last name. He was a limited practice. Ennis Rakestraw back to practicing, and Alex Anzalone full practice. So those are great. We get Anzalone back. I'm very happy about that. So I like the bottom 4 or 5 there. The top 4 or 5, not so much. It's going to hurt some of these injuries this weekend. But you know what? It's next man up. Let's see what we can do. These teams are very, very evenly matched again. I think it's going to be a game just like last week, where it's going to be very physical, lots of run game. And this might turn out to be another bloodbath injury-wise, because the Seahawks come to play, and they're a very physical team.
Well, you better knock on some wood. So I guess we're starting. We're going to start with the injury report this morning. So Detroit Lions, Brian Branch, limited participant yesterday with concussion protocol. Good news is the Branch is presumably asymptomatic right now, based on the limited participant designation yesterday in practice. This does put him on track to pass through the NFL 5-step protocol and play on Monday. Personal opinion, yeah, we need everybody in this game because we are missing, Davenport now, which is a big one. I don't know that I would really want to play him just to play him. Then again, I don't know how severe his concussion was. I mean, all concussions are bad. I just don't know how severe it is. And does it make sense to just let him rest, for a few weeks? You got the bye week right after this game. I don't know. I mean, I would almost, do you dress him and then say, if we need you, we need you. If we don't, we don't. And play it that way. I don't know. I guess I don't know what the right answer is, but I think for me, I've always been on the side of caution. They sat Anzalone down for an extra week. Maybe they'll do the same thing with Branch. Sam Laporta, so, he's got the right lower ankle sprain. Didn't stop him from returning in the game last week. But at the very end of the game, he was injured again. I was advised by a little birdie that Porta's not playing this weekend or this Monday.
Ooh.
So even though he may be listed as okay, at some point over the weekend or a Monday, he's not playing. From what I understand, they're going to keep him down because, again, from allegedly what I've heard reportedly is that his injuries are more than just his ankle, and they may want to keep him down so that he can have a better, 3/4 of a season. The first quarter hasn't really popped off for Sam, but we'll see where that trends. Again, it's not breaking news. It's just news right now. It's just rumors. Frank Ragnow, as we know, is shut down. I thought that this was the right move. Again, I still don't have enough information. They're calling it a Ragnow pectoral strain for Frank Ragnow of his left pec. That's the defining word. Is it a strain or is it a tear? It's a huge difference. If you have a strain, could be a few weeks. It could nag you. It could bother you. Right? It's probably still painful. But if it's a tear, well, you can continue to injure a tear. You can continue to make a strain worse. Yeah. I'm not a doctor. I just read, the old Google doctor. And, according to that, there's a big difference between a strain and a tear. So that language that was used, I don't know if that came from the Lions or not. I don't know if that came from their docs or not. So I would be very careful with language. I'm just reading what it says, and maybe it's correct, maybe it's not. I would really like to know if it's a tear or if it's a strain, because that's a big difference. But it would still make sense to put Frank Ragnow down for the weekend. Aleem McNeil, so this was kind of weird that he was limited. And with his shoulder injury, that at the very beginning, at the outset of this, it was week to week. And then it quickly changed to day to day. And now it's limited participant, could play on Monday, progressing very well. According to Dan Campbell, Aleem's doing better. He's day to day. He'll be out there running around today. This was as of yesterday. So we're pretty good there. The fact that Dan Campbell said we are pretty good there, That's good news. That's great news. But again, according to McNeil, he's playing. He's not staying out of this game. He's playing. These guys are going to fight for their coach. They're going to fight to stay in this game. And I think it just speaks volumes. But here's what I wanted. I didn't want to go deep into this, and I won't today. Maybe we will next week. When you talk about contracts, Eric, and he's in a contract year, and now you've got an injury, and an injury that, injuries do sometimes happen to compound each other. What happens if a Lee McNeil gets injured even more significant and is lost for a majority of the season? What happens to his future? That's a defining moment for a Lee McNeil, and I understand who he is on the surface, right? I feel like he is a guy that he's going to try to play no matter what, because his future hangs in the balance too, but it's more important than that to him. It's his team. So,
and on the other side of that coin, does he act like DeAndre Swift and have a little nick and then just don't play for 4 or 5 games?
Right.
And hurt your contract that way too. Because DeAndre Swift could never stay healthy and could never get back in the game. And the coaches called him out for, hey, man, it's just a toenail. Get your butt back in there.
It's just a toenail. Yeah.
Who
was it? Was it Lawrence Taylor that just had his finger cut off at halftime and went back in the game?
Got back in the game and finger cut off.
Just a toenail, DeAndre. Just a toenail, buddy. Just cut it off.
Yeah. How's he doing for the Bears?
Right. Terrible.
It just shows you what kind of mentality those players have.
Right. It was different back then.
Aleem's the different kind. He's not like a DeAndre Swift.
So Alex Anzalone, full participant. We expected this because he was rested for an extra week. I feel like that's the right way to approach concussions personally. If I were to be selfish about it, of course, I would want everybody to play as quickly as they could. But when I look at players like Tua, that to me is that's the standard, that's where your life can progress. There is zero room in your brain, in your head, zero. You have a very thin wall with some fluid or water, whatever it is. Right. And you just can't play with it. When it swells, so much can happen wrong. Everything just gets out of whack. And how is that going to progress, later in life? There's now studies with Parkinson's and dementia or Alzheimer's and, a whole host of other, bad things that you don't want to have happen to you that a lot of us will have to deal with just genetically. But by all means, you're going into these car crashes every single week and, you're coming out with all of these nicks and cuts and injuries and, your head's rattling around all day. So I feel like it was the right move for the Lions to put him down for an extra week, and if he's ready to go this week, I feel really comfortable in his ability to have a big game. Dan Skipper, so no practice with ribs. He landed on a defender's elbow during the game last week, which likely caused the rib bruise or the strain, a small chance of a fracture. Now, I don't know why they would say that there's a small chance of a fracture, because X-ray would show that, right? So did he not have an X-ray? I'm sure he did. And we would know that if he had a fracture. I don't think it's been reported, but again, this is coming from Lions Wire, so I'm not sure why it says small chance of a fracture. Is there an X-ray or is there not? That's what I would like to know. Ennis Rakestraw's finally starting to make his way back a little bit, limited with a hamstring. Not sure that he's going to be able to go again this weekend. Not that he's really needed right now, but backup wise, it would be great to have Ennis the Menace in there. Levi O, limited participant with the knee. Onzarike was hurt in the first quarter of last week's game. There was no real video of the injury. Medical appeared to be examining his right knee. Finished out the game without noticeable problems. With a limited participant, designation early in the week. Obviously, he's more than likely going to play, and he's needed big time. He's having a great bounce back year. Wrap that thing up, Levi, and let's go have a great game. Iffy. So week 4 was the week that I was advised that Iffy would be back. He's another non-participant. Here's the question, and I'm sure a lot of you have asked it, and I'll come back to the chat here in just a moment. I'm sure a lot of you have asked this because I said it last year with another player, Manuel Mosley. Why on earth didn't you just designate this guy to IR and save somebody on your team if it was going to take this long? Here's the retort. You only get so many players that you can bring back. And with the rash of injuries that the Detroit Lions suffered prior to week 1, prior to cuts, I think that maybe the Lions had to roll the dice. And they rolled it with Iffy. And they didn't put him on, on some sort of an IR list to have him come back because, again, you're only allowed 8 that can come back. You're only allowed 2 additional IR designations on 53-man day that would allow you to not count towards the roster but still be saved or something like that. I can't remember the exact terminology, but I think you know what I'm talking about. So I think that this is just the gymnastics of the roster making is what it is, what it turned out to be. So I'm not extremely upset at this one that they didn't, find a way to stash him off of the roster and save a spot. I think this one just is what it is, and we're just going to have to live with it. It sucks for Iffy. Obviously, the Lions, I don't believe they really lost anybody other than Matthew Betts. You could have had Matthew Betts, and now he's back in Canada playing football. And right now we need Matthew Betts. So someone that went through the summer leagues or, the summer training camp with us that knows this defense would really be fun to have right now, especially with Davenport going down. And I don't know if there's even an opportunity for him to be able to come back. I think once you sign in Canada and you've got a contract, I think it's kind of done. I think it is what it is. So, no. I didn't say if he was done for the season, Joseph. I didn't say that at all. No, what I said was he was supposed to come back for week 4. That was the timeline that I was advised of. Last week he wasn't going to play. Week 2 he wasn't going to play. It was week 4 that they were hoping to have him back for the Seattle game. The point that I'm trying to make is there's been a lot of things said online in comments and, other message boards, Twitter, whatever. Why didn't the Lions just put him on IR at the beginning of the season and save a roster spot? And the answer to that, or the retort, is you're only allowed so many per season, which is 8. So with the amount of injuries that the Lions already had, they had to kind of play this roster gymnastics, roster roulette, if you will, and roll the dice with Iffy to see if he'd be able to come back earlier or not. And it's just not trending well. So no, I didn't say that Iffy would be done for the season. What I said it would have been nice to have a roster spot saved, and you could have kept somebody like Matthew Betts, which the Lions clearly need. So I don't know how you got that out of that, Joseph. No clue how you got that out of that. Unlisted Terrion Arnold obviously was hitting the right knee last week by Kyler Murray, Graham Glasgow, Derek Barnes, Marcus Davenport. Obviously, the last 2 on IR. But Graham Glasgow was a surprise listing last week with a knee, but still played the entire game against the Cardinals. And Terrion Arnold, with his knee injury, was a little bit gimpy for a while on the sideline. He returned to the game last week, played well. Unlisted suggests that there's no real structural damage or anything going on with TA for the week. On the Seattle side of the ball, Leonard Williams did not practice. That's a big one, defensive end. Byron Murphy, it's another big one, rookie. I mean, due to absolutely hammers offensive lineman, did not practice. Doesn't sound like he's going to be playing this weekend. Kenneth Walker, he did show up on the sideline yesterday in practice, so he did practice yesterday. He was a limited participant, has been battling an oblique injury. Uchenna Nwasu, he also made it back at some point, I believe yesterday is what I had read last night, and maybe that information is a little conflicting with Lions Wire here, but I read that Nwasu did make it back last night for practice or something. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to see if I've got some more information here in just a second. The unlisted for them is George Fant. They're starting right tackle, which is a big one for Aiden Hutchinson. So he was placed on IR a few days ago with a right knee injury, and it looks like Aiden's going to be going up against another mixed bag of offensive linemen for the Seattle Seahawks, which is going to give him another opportunity. The question is, are the Lions going to be able to have enough pressure, because the other side of the line is going to be a mixed bag for us. So any comments on that before we get rolling on everything else?
I think they're just like us. They've got, their own little MASH unit going on. And I think just about every team in the league right now, we're into week 4. So we're into serious football time. Everybody's really trying to win, and it's MASH units everywhere. Lots and lots of injuries.
Yeah, it's been interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, because even last night you watched, Malik Neighbors got a concussion at the end of the game, and Micah Parsons got an ankle or something at the end of the game. And
I thought Micah had a neck injury during the game.
Oh, was it a neck? Okay.
Yeah, I thought he had a neck injury.
But yeah, I mean, there was MASH unit last night. Everybody was dropping like flies.
Yeah, where did I read this on Nwasu? Because, and I look, Nwasu's not going to play this week, but so I guess it really doesn't matter. But I did see where he was coming back. Yeah, so it says Seahawks Uchenna Nwasu back practicing, smiling. Will he play? So there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and that's why it's going to be great to talk with Dan Veals today, who's going to have the pulse on the Seahawks and get us the information that we need. Get us the information that we need and deserve. So let's get rolling into this. I'm going to bring Aiden Hutchinson in right now. I want to listen to his media conference here, from yesterday, and see what he had to say. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
So Mike was your DC in 2021. Tell me a little bit about what you thought of him as a DC and his ascent to now as coach of the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's done a great job. I mean, I loved having him as a coach back in 2021. I think just him bringing that Ravens defense in when I was a senior, it was I feel like I was having fun again in football, So he's I'm very thankful for him, and but unfortunately now it's time to go toe to toe once again. So I got to shoot him a text and give him.
Is it wild to see him NFL head coach this soon after being the DC at Michigan, or did you kind of always see this in his future?
Yeah, I remember him telling me he never wanted to be a head coach, and then I saw he accepted the job, and I was like, you little liar, But no, he's. I mean, he deserves it. I mean, they're 3-0. They're doing a good job so far. So, we got our hands full, but I think we got a good shot.
How does Davenport being put on IR just affect that line up front with you guys?
It's tough. It's tough. Marcus was such a key guy on our defensive line, and losing him was just. And then seeing him, we were watching film the day after, and just seeing him play with the torn tricep, and I see him just throwing his head in there, not even using his arm, and I'm like. That's the kind of guy you got from Marcus, and I think that's why everybody respects him so much. Just because he, when he's out there, he's quiet, but he's a force. And
so I wanted to touch base on this because there's been a lot of conversation behind the scenes with a lot of Lions fans, some creators that really were down hard on Davenport and the pickup, and I for one was a little concerned about his injury history, but I think you have to be with everybody. But the one thing that I recognized about Davenport right away, very early in the offseason, was the opportunity. And I don't think you'll ever find a video on my channel where I ever said anything negative about Davenport. All I wanted from him was what he was doing in 2021. I just wanted 80% of what he could put out at his peak, and when he was playing well. And we got that and more this season when he was in. And to Aiden's point, he might be quiet, but he's an absolute terror out there. And Davenport really played well for us. And if you watch the tape, if you study the tape, and you tell me anything different, then I know that you're watching it with blinders on, because the way that he affected the pocket, the way that he, held his own on the right side of the defense, he never got burned on the outside. He played in almost perfect containment. His details are very good. I really enjoyed watching his tape, and that's kind of hard to say. Like you don't always like everybody's tape and how they play, but Davenport, I just love the way that he played. And Aiden mentioned in here, you know, how important he was, and the fact that, I mean, he doesn't have an arm, and he's out there using his head. He's doing anything he can to try to play and affect this, you know, outcome of this game. And that is the type of leader that you want on your team. I mean, those are the kind of guys you want to go into battle with, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to go with someone, to your point earlier, you know, that, has a hangnail and can't play, you know, DeAndre Swift. You know, I don't want to be in battle with those kind of guys. I'd want to be in battle with the guys like Marcus Davenport. And the numbers speak for themselves, but at the same time, the stat lines don't matter. They really don't. You see games like last week against the Cardinals, you have one cheap sack. You know, it was a great play by Aiden, but it wasn't really needed. We didn't need any sacks that day to win the game. We needed discipline, and we got discipline. We needed a spy, and AG lied to everybody in the media, but he put a spy out there. So it worked. But let's continue listening to Aiden. I'll come back to you, Eric, in just a moment.
We'll see what happens, but I'm hoping he stays here.
This team, this offense kind of had
Oh, that was the other thing. Sorry.
Straight before you even got.
He wants Davenport to stay here, right? And I think that's the key. Is you know, I was mentioning yesterday and the day before, I expect Davenport to come back. I really do. I expect Brad Holmes to want to bring him back, and maybe they're going to try to work out something right now. Who knows? But for right now, he's under contract. Obviously he's going to be going through an injury, going through surgery or whatever he's got to do. But I fully expect for Davenport to come back, and next season is going to be hopefully a back-to-back season for us, if you know what I'm saying.
The last two you've been a part of.
Yeah.
Talk about how difficult it is playing against this offense and how badly you guys want to break that streak.
Yeah, I think this there's no lack of urgency for this game out of the defense especially. I feel like we've definitely let the offense down in years past, and I think the emphasis is we're gonna try to carry the load this week, and it all starts in stopping the run first and then rushing the passer. So it's a lot. We just got to execute our game plan, and I think we'll be good.
Sounds like pass.
So again, Aiden being Aiden, right? He recognized that the Detroit Lions have had some difficulty on defense, and he admittedly said that the defense has let down the offense in years past. And I thought that was such a not only a bold statement from him to recognize it, right, but to own it. And when you start to own things like that, and these players, they admit things more often than what you see fans admitting, right? Not everyone's going to come to the table and say, we screwed it up. Not everyone's going to say, I'm responsible and take responsibility. That's a very difficult thing to do, especially it seems like in today's world. But Aiden recognizes it, and he's not going to completely absolve the offense at times. But when the offense was playing lights out for 2.5 seasons, our defense, they couldn't buy a win. They completely let down the offense in many, many, many games. And now the table is starting to turn where the defense is playing well and the offense is a little bit slow to start. So we're a little bit behind the 8 ball right now. And I'm glad that he mentioned that the defense is going to step it up and try to carry the load this week, put the pressure on Geno, stop this run, and then get after Geno. I think it's the right plan. He says something here in a few more minutes that also makes a whole lot of sense for what's going to happen this weekend or Monday. I keep saying this weekend.
He's going to get a lot of the work in Davenport's spot. Just what can he bring you guys up front? How is he maybe stylistically different than Davenport?
I think stylistically they are very similar. They're both just willing to just absolutely throw everything in there and just you see them play polars, just knocking polars back, knocking tackles back. So that's kind of both of their identity, I feel like. And so I'm excited for Josh. I think he's been waiting for this opportunity, and I think he's going to take advantage of it.
What kind of juice do you get out of debuting a new uniform, the black uniforms, Monday?
Okay, so what he's saying there is that Josh Pascal is going to get a great opportunity on the right side of your defense. So if you didn't catch that little nugget, look for Josh Pascal to get a big start at the big end on the right side of the defense this weekend, on Monday. If I say this weekend one more time, I got to do 10 push-ups.
Monday night, what kind of juice do you get out of something like that?
It's cool aesthetically, you know. I don't know if it gives me that much juice, but I think it is cool that the All Blacks are. I don't know if maybe the fans will wear all black or something. That'd be pretty cool if the crowd was black. But yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be fun.
What challenges does Geno present, just from a mobile quarterback position?
Yeah, I mean, Geno, he's in year 12, so I don't think he really wants to run it, but he can run. I mean, obviously, he's ran against us in years past, and you see it on film that he's already run a little bit this year. He's fast, so, I mean, I feel like it's kind of the standard now in the NFL. You don't really find too many non-mobile quarterbacks, so the message really stays the same week to week.
You guys have a mobile quarterback in here now with Jared.
We got the most mobile. You saw the last play of that game, right? We got the guy.
Your defense as a whole, what's impressed you the most about what you guys have been able to do to start off the year? Because you haven't given up more.
I love it. I absolutely love it. He's obviously saying that we have the most mobile quarterback in the league with Jared Giraffe Goff. And talking about Geno Smith, though, so he's recognized that, Geno's in year 12. Now, we just played him not too long ago, right, where Geno was able to gash us with his legs. Geno, even though he's in year 12 and maybe he doesn't want to run the ball as a first option, you better believe he will. When he has to, he will. So far through the season, if we look at his stats overall, he has not run the ball. It was week 1 that he did his most damage, and that was 30 yards against the Denver Broncos. Since then, he's only had 8 yards and then -2 yards in consecutive games there. So he only has 36 yards on the season. So that's an average of about 12 yards per game. So Geno is not wanting to run the ball, but you better believe that's a setup, because the Lions have had issues with mobile quarterbacks for a long time. We have had one game now where we finally figured it out against Kyler Murray. I hope that they take a page out of that game and try to do the same thing, but maybe a little bit different, so that the Seahawks offense doesn't figure us out. But at the same time, I don't expect Geno to run all over the place unless he has to, which if Aiden is getting a free rush at this guy, he's going to have to run, which means Josh Pascal is going to have to play edge containment perfectly. And that's going to be the thing that I think I'm going to be watching the most, is how is Josh going to handle the pressure of Geno coming off of his side, because that's where it's going to go. He's not going to run it. He's not going to run at Aiden. Aiden's too quick laterally too, even though he's not the fastest defensive end. But I believe you're going to have Alex Anzalone playing down, in the box on that side of Aiden, which is going to trap Geno and force him to go the other way, assuming that that's how Aaron Glenn's going to play it. That's really all I wanted to bring in. We'll listen to him for a few more, and then we'll move on.
We definitely, the focus was changing the narrative around here first, and then changing the narrative around the NFL.
Talking about mobile quarterbacks
so far in the first 3 weeks, and but the best thing about this is there's 17 games, so you got to go out there every single week to prove it that you are. That we can be an anchor of this team, so we're going to continue to do that. And I know we got some injuries, but it's the same identity for our defense.
I think they lead the league in quarterback hurries and quarterback hits.
All right, Eric, what'd you take away?
Sorry, I just had to mute that stuff. Hutch is not getting full of himself. He's not turning into this, I'm just going to get a bunch of sacks guy. He's going to do whatever it takes to win the game. And I think the game plan for Hutch and the defensive line is going to be the same in this game as it was in the last game. The last game against the Cardinals, they had a stout offense that could throw the ball, that could run the ball, and they had a mobile quarterback. Well, what did we do? Other than 2 little runs, we shut them down. And I think that is what is going to happen again this weekend. We're going to set contain. We're going to set the edge. We're not going to worry about sacks. We are going to worry about containing Geno Smith, putting the pressure on so he makes errant throws, and maybe we'll get an interception or 2. That would be what I would be looking for in this game. Keep it close, keep it tight, and try to let our run game dominate time of possession and let our defense just hold them down, keep them under 20 points. We keep them under 20 points, I say we win the game.
You know that I love the 20 points call because I'm super high on that. Looks like I had a misspelled word in my ticker. Make sure that gets changed here real quick. Super shout out to Trace. She's at it again. She just gifted 10 more memberships and added 10 new members to the Rock Down Detroit Lions family. Welcome everybody to the loyalty crew for Rock Down Detroit Lions. Thank you, Trace. Really appreciate you. Now we've got JT's Massive Purpose, Oscar Diggs, Jerry Alexander, the Ronin 99, Whiskey Neat, probably with a side of orange, maybe. Z-Guard, Raider Goldheart, Quaqueg, I think that's how you say that. Chris Mason, Keitho, Peter Van Larhoven was already a member. I think that those were all the ones that were added. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's 10. Ends with Keitho. So welcome to the Rock Down Detroit Lions family as a member. And, of course, you get some new member benefits. Next month, you just got to keep your membership alive if you'd like to stay involved with the membership group. Now, I do think I need to bring in JG for just a moment because he did say something that was extremely funny. But he also said something that I think is going to surprise you guys. So let me bring in JG for just a moment, and then we're going to try to get through the rest of what we need to get through this morning. We're already off to a very slow start. Here we go. Here's JG.
Hits at this point. Does that change the mentality of I got to get the ball out quicker this week when you're looking at the film?
No, I don't think so. We got to diagnose the pressures and try to pick them up. And like I said, I think McDonald's as good as it gets at generating that pressure and finding a way to get free rushers. And we got to find a way to not have free rushers.
How nice is it to have a veteran guy like Graham that when Frank is down, you can just slide him over. He's been there and done that.
Yeah, he's the Swiss Army knife, and he can kind of.
So there's your answer, as expected, as I've always expected, that this was going to be the reason why Graham Glasgow was so important to this team. He is now going to slide in under center or at center, and he's going to be the eyes and the ears for JG for this Monday night's game. I'm not doing 10 push-ups today. And I think it's super important to recognize the fact that Graham Glasgow is a Swiss Army knife, like Jared Goff has stated. He does play a very important role on this defense, or I'm sorry, on this offense, in that he can be multiple, right? He can play multiple positions. He's very diverse. Schematically, he knows just about anything that you're going to need, and can figure out just about anything that you need to figure out on an offensive line. So I'm extremely excited to see how Graham does. This is a good defense. I mean, it's borderline great defense. It is going to be a challenge. Graham is going to have some mistakes, I guarantee you. This offensive line, I hope, is ready, because they're going to take advantage of Graham. They're going to try to, but he is not somebody that I believe that you're just going to be able to bully, like a third tier right tackle, like, Aiden Hutchinson goes up against. This is a much different style of player. So I am comfortable with Graham Glasgow on, at center. And I feel like JG, will be as well. Let me get to his other comment that I think you guys are going to find not only funny, but also at the same time, it's relevant to what Jared Goff is trying to do.
Kind of do it all, and he's played right guard, he's played left guard this year, and now he's playing center, and it's a luxury for us to have him for sure.
Is there any carryover in preparation one year to another? The personnel, similar personnel, but completely different, coaching staff. Is there carryover? Can you use last year to help?
Casey, I better be able to do 10 push-ups, right? No strained, torn pec for me, but, just multiple surgeries and metal in my body. It doesn't make it easy, but I still got to get it in every day. I got to get something done.
Help you, or is it completely different?
It's a completely different scheme. Sure, there's a couple of players that are still there, but as far as what you're looking at schematically, it's entirely different.
Jared's starting to hear the term speed merchant, burner. I'm starting to hear the term speed merchant, burner when people are talking about your play.
That means we're okay.
Just displaying all kinds of speed.
Right.
Is that the maybe dual threat that you've been hiding?
That's right. I've been hiding it for 8 years, and now in my 9th, I've decided to pull it out. No, but we do joke about it, but I do think if I can get one a game, one first down with my legs a game, and maybe it's 2. That's kind of a big thing for us. On third down, if I can scramble and pick one up, and I've gotten one in the first 3 games. So I try to do that every game, find a way to get one, and it certainly helps us.
Conscientiously, did you try to work on that throughout the offseason?
Yeah.
Adding mobility?
Yeah, I think so. I think just speed in general. If you don't run, you'll lose it. And I'm not getting any younger, and as time goes on, you're fighting that battle of making sure you're still running, especially as a quarterback, running and actively running and doing the off season, doing it in season. Because at practice, I really don't. So I have to actively put myself into some drills that make me run and get those fibers and those fast twitch muscles going, as many as I have.
What's the drill look like?
Just running.
Just running?
Just running. Yeah. No, running out there and doing something that's somewhat football related, but just opening it up and, like I said, getting those 2 fast twitch muscles going and feeling good.
What was your 40 time at the combine?
4.82.
You think you're faster now?
You train for that for so long. So I was at peak speed at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys are picking it up. You're picking it up, Brent.
Right? Maybe when I'm 10 years from now, I'd be faster like he is. But right now, I don't know. Maybe.
All right, that's it for media this morning. I'm not even going to bring in Gino. We'll talk about Gino, but you got to love JG, man. He loves having some fun, and that's what I love about this guy is he's so down to earth. But you picked it up, Brent. The 2 of his fast twitch muscles. That's all he has. He ran a 4.82 at the combine. That's 8-9 years ago now. The fact that he's trying, right? He's trying to work on his speed. As far as staying mobile and making sure that he can pick up a first down with his legs when needed, it does help. I mean, I think that's very important to recognize that your offense is reliant upon you being able to recognize it and seeing the depth, and then being able to get on the outside and move. And he's done it. One first down in each of the first 3 games. I would just advise JG to make sure he picks his spots. Don't get too willy-nilly with it. Don't press it too much, and get down. Please slide, please get down. We've seen what the Seahawks did to him last year. He's just standing back there like a Statue of Liberty and got, eviscerated by, that linebacker, just completely knocked out. I mean, he bounced up. He was fine, but that sometimes doesn't happen when you're running the ball. All sorts of things can go wrong. I appreciate the hell out of JG for what he's doing and, putting his body in harm's way and trying to get first downs. It's not what we want to see him do. But if he can do it, he can do it. I just thought it was kind of funny this morning, the way that they approached it. And he recognizes, I was hoping to hear the word giraffe. I was really hoping to hear that word, but there was something else, and I don't know where it was. It might've been in Aiden Hutchinson's media. I don't know if I missed it, but they mentioned 20 points. I don't know if you guys picked it up, but somewhere in one of the medias, they mentioned 20 points. Is it important to keep other teams under 20 points? And the answer was yes. So whether they're listening, I don't know. They probably are. Someone is. We all listen, to a degree of each other, right? If you have time to do it. I try to listen to Tim Twentyman or, other people, but I found it interesting that they've recognized the number. And when you look at the league now, it's prevalent in the league that it's been an important number to keep opposing offenses under, especially in a time now in the NFL where it's primarily an offensive performance that's going to win the game. Defensively, I don't think that you can hold many teams, under 14 points anymore. It's just not. It's not conducive to the game the way that it's set up now. So, good to see that Jared Goff's having fun with it. Really, really, really good to see. So, Eric, what are your thoughts?
Well, Jared Goff just made up my mind. I had a dilemma this week. And I like all week, I'm like, what jersey am I going to wear to this game? Because I have so many black jerseys, and I just ordered 2 new ones that are coming today. I have Anzalone and Rodrigo coming today. And I'm like, man, do I wear one of my new ones? Do I wear Gibbs? Do I wear Montgomery? Do I do St. Brown? Who am I going to wear? And because I have like, I don't know, 20 or 30 black jerseys. And I think Jared Goff just made up my mind, and I'm making up a sign for this weekend. And I think it's going to be either Vanilla Vic or Baby Giraffe, and have it on both sides of a board.
Yeah, I'd be careful with Vanilla Vic. I would be careful with that. That sounds too racy to me.
Hey, they were even calling him that on a bunch of other podcasts, like major podcasts. They were calling him Vanilla Vic. On,
they can get away with it.
Yeah.
I'd be careful with it personally, but you do what you want.
Yeah, it's very cool to see him talking about his 4.8 speed, though. I love it.
Yeah. No, he's having fun, man, and you know that's what it's all about, right? You got to have a little fun. But these guys, by no means are trying to take anything away from JG. He's just never had to really run. It's not his thing. So Geno Smith, part of what I listened to with Geno Smith last night and this morning is, man, I took this away. You really got to hand it to Geno. He is such an admirable individual. I can't talk today already. Super positive. I love his energy. I completely love what this guy's all about. He's a fierce competitor, but he is very real, right? He's very down to earth, just kind of the good dude vibes. He had mentioned, so one of the questions that he was asked was, how do you deal with, commanding your offense, or, how do you deal with, being a leader? And he said that, his way of being a leader is more positive. Like, there's guys that yell and scream and jump up and down or whatever. That's not him. He would rather do everything positively. And he said, to each his own, but I'm just going to be positive about it. And he tries to put positive inflections into everything. And that is such a good way to go about life. But the fact that he's doing it in football, which I think that many of us understand that football has always been kind of rough, right? And, and growing up in sports, myself, I mean, you kind of take some of that stuff with you. Like maybe you're a little bit gruff, maybe you're a little bit rough, maybe you talk in an elevated tone, or you're loud when you talk, like tends to be me. Maybe you don't use all the right words all the time. You're not soft around the edges. You're just a little bit rough, a little bit jagged. And I think sports kind of does that to certain people, but Geno, it just hasn't affected him. It has. He does not want to be a negative dude. And I think that, his positivity is clearly showing up in the way that, his offensive line is performing, even though that, they might have a bad play during practice or, a bad game or whatever. He goes about it in the right way. And you get the same thing with Jared Goff, right? I mean, he's also a very positive dude. But I took that away from his media availability, press conference, that he loves it, man. And more important than that, he was talking about Ford Field, and he was asked about Ford Field and the environment at Ford Field. And he said he loves the energy and how loud it is. And he plays better with it. But in the end zone. So this is what I wanted to point out, because he said that in the end zone, it is the absolute toughest area. So the red zone, I guess, is what I'm going to call the end zone, because when you're down in the red zone, you kind of get boxed in. He said that it is so loud that he has to scream to get the plays out. And he has to use a lot of inflection in his voice so that, the guys can hear him. So save your voices on Monday night. When they get into the red, I mean, obviously we're going to be loud. This has to be the loudest game of the season. It has to be. It's Monday night. This is a playoff atmosphere, and it has to be. We have to be the loudest we've been all season. In the red zone, just wait till they start to get into the huddle, get super loud. As they're walking up, you can tone it down a little bit, but then get loud again. Like, you've got to stay loud when they're at the line, because they can't hear the snap count. But especially in the end zone, you have to go bonkers on Monday night. He had this to say, too. He was talking about, or asked the question, what is it going to be like to go up against the Lions defense, playing at a high level right now? And his response was spot on. He said a Dan Campbell coach team is extremely tough. That's not a direct quote, but That a Dan Campbell coach team, he mentioned effort. He mentioned they fly to the ball. He mentioned toughness. That the Lions are going to try to out-physical you, both mentally and physically. He mentioned that the Lions are going to want to impose their will of strength on defense and try to beat you at your own game. The fact that he mentioned Dan Campbell first, I think kind of gives you an idea of what the league thinks about the Detroit Lions. He didn't mention DJ Reader. He didn't mention Aiden Hutchinson. He didn't mention Brian Branch or anybody else on the defense first. He mentioned Dan Campbell. And the fact that it's the Dan Campbell, the reason is Dan Campbell that this team is playing so well. So the respect for our coach is there. People around the league have figured out that Dan Campbell is not who they thought that he was, right? He's a much better coach than anticipated. Eric, when you hear these things, how much different is it now when you hear, other teams and other media members talking about our coach in a different light than it was 4 years ago? It was, oh my God, who did the Lions hire? He's talking about kneecaps and, meme galore everywhere. And we were the talk of the town. We were the laughing stock again in 2021 because of that press conference. And now it's like, yeah, Dan Campbell's the reason why. Dan Campbell's the guy. And you don't want to play a Dan Campbell team. So how does that make you feel now after watching this thing transcend?
I love it. It's the whole grit, Detroit Motown feel. It's what Detroit is all about. And why do you think the fans come out in droves? We sell out every game. We sell out standing room only. And we are so friggin' loud. Now, maybe the first game against the Rams wasn't so loud, but that Bucks game, oh my God, it was like a playoff game. It was so loud in there. Listen, the Bucks could not make any calls at the line. There was no way. It was so loud in there. And today we have a Seahawks fan, Seahawk 17 in the chat today. And he says,
welcome in, Seahawks 17. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, he's pretty cool in the chat. And he's bringing up some good things. Like he says that the Seahawks do a lot of hurry up offense. So we're going to have to cheer loud and for a very long time. Well, you haven't heard the Detroit crowd. They can cheer and cheer and cheer. It is nuts how loud it gets in that building. And I would not be surprised if tonight we're louder than we were for the Monday night game versus the Bears a bunch of years ago, because the playoff games were off the charts louder than that game.
Yeah. So Seahawks 17, man. Again, I welcome you into the chat this morning. Any other Seahawks that are listening, not in the chat, I appreciate you guys. I had some great messages from you since yesterday talking about the content you were able to view on this channel. And you guys liked it. It was pretty informative, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your compliments. It means a lot. We try to do things the right way here. We don't just dump on all of our opponents, other than the Bears. I mean, other than the Bears.
Sorry, broski.
And Eric really hates the Packers, but other than that, no, we have respect for everybody. So Gino also mentioned Aaron Glenn. And this one kind of concerned me a little bit to a degree, because I think differently than other people. And he mentioned Aaron Glenn from the perspective of, let me switch sides here, because it's always like I'm looking away from you. He mentioned Aaron Glenn being a former defensive back, and he says that because of that, you can tell that Aaron Glenn tailors the defense to the DBs. Surprise, surprise. I mean, he has, right? He's always tailored the defense to the DBs. But that's not a good thing if the quarterbacks recognize what you're trying to do on every play. So for me, he also mentioned that, he likes to load the box. He likes to play with the base three linebackers. He recognized that Aiden is flying on second and third and longs all the time. So if Gino's already recognized that and probably shouldn't have said that, or maybe he's baiting, who knows? Gino could be baiting, assuming that, maybe he would think that Aaron Glenn would listen to his media availability. Then I think that tells you that maybe you got to do something a little different. Maybe you have Aiden flying 1st and 10. And maybe you don't have them fly on 3rd and long. Maybe you have them play contain on 3rd and long, and you send somebody else on 3rd and long. Or maybe you treat 2nd down like 3rd down on the defense. You got to switch it up a little bit. If these quarterbacks and these teams, and especially really good defensive coordinators like McDonald was, who's now a head coach, they recognize how to use the things that you do well against you. And that's exactly what the Seahawks are going to try to do this Monday night. I almost said it again. So we'll see. We'll see how this transcends on Monday. Will this defense be able to play at a high level like they did against the Cardinals and just play football, right? Just don't get too out of control. Aiden doesn't need a bunch of sacks. I know you guys all want sacks. You want the stat lines to light up, and it's fun to watch those games. It absolutely is. I can't even tell you the feeling in the stands. Like, when a sack happens, people go nuts. It's the same energy for a touchdown that you get for a sack. It's incredible. But I would just say that we don't need sacks to win games. They do help, right? They do help with negative plays. They do help to back the offense up. But you guys know as well as I do, we can have a sack on 1st down, drop these guys to 2nd and 17, and then Geno runs for 18 yards. That's what happened last year. It's what's happened every time. We can't have that happen on Monday night. So it's just interesting that, Geno recognized, what Aaron Glenn loves to do. And I would say that now that we're down, a very significant piece and possibly a few others, it's going to have to be a well-planned game of playing disciplined football again this week, this Monday. Almost said it again. Maybe this is a hint, right? That Aaron, or maybe a hint for Aaron that maybe he's just not sneaky enough right now in what he's been doing. It's a little bit different. I guess what I would say, it's a little bit different when you are the bully on the field. And I mean that in the most positive sense of the word. When you have all the muscle, right? You have all the skilled veteran players that, they can tell guys, what you are doing and you can kind of make them stop you, right? You can go up to the line if you have all the best players, in the game and you're walking up to the line and you're saying, look, I'm going right here. Stop me. If you are that good where you can do that, well, then it doesn't matter if the other team knows what you're going to do. But I would say the Lions aren't there quite yet. I'd say we're halfway there. We still have some more work to do. But you've got to come in with an approach that you have to be disguised in everything that you do to have success against a team right now that's playing at such a high level. Any comments on that before I get to the Seahawks O-line, and then we're going to transition to the D-line, and then we're going to get into pick'ems?
Yeah, I think I'm good. And I think we got to kind of get rolling on stuff, or we're going to be really late today.
Yes, sir. Our ads on today? Because I see they just hit 50 likes. So let me
hit 50 likes. Right on.
Let me make sure.
Thank you, everybody in the chat. We appreciate it every day. If you guys can hit 50 likes for us every day.
Yeah, 50 to get the ads off, and 100 keeps them off for 2 days.
And we had that streak of 100 going for a long time. I don't know why it's dropping off.
I don't know either. It is what it is, though. Sometimes people forget, man. They're so ingrained in listening or, chatting. Anything from the chat we need to address real quick? So,
not really.
Who's K9? You talking about Walker? Kenneth Walker? Is that they refer to him as K9? I guess I wouldn't know that. Probably makes sense.
Yeah.
So he did show up in practice yesterday, John, and from what I understand, he's still on the outs, but we have till Monday. So I would say that either way, Charbonnet is good too. So they've got options. They have options. Yeah. So Walker made practice last night, but we just don't know if he's going to make it to Monday. We'll find out Monday. We'll hear more today at the noon hour with Dan Beals from the Seahawks Forever podcast. So the Seahawks O-line, are they in trouble? Are they in trouble? So this is what we got going on in the Seahawks O-line. They're continuing to deal with uncertainty at right guard. The Seattle Seahawks went into last week's practice sessions holding another open competition at right guard. Open competition in the middle of the season. And this was between their sophomore guard Anthony Bradford and their rookie Christian Haynes. Bradford had won the job in training camp, but has put forth a lackluster performance through the early portion of the regular season. He was awarded another opportunity in the Week 3 victory over Miami, but he did struggle big time. So not only is there an issue there, but there is an issue on the right side. I believe the right tackle is also having an issue as well. But right now their PFF blocking grade against New England, get this, was an 18.3 in Week 2. And that was Haynes. As a blocker, he had an 18.3 run block grade. So not great. I would say that their offensive line is their biggest detriment to their team. If we were to recap, kind of how their offensive line is looking right now, I did prepare some things for this afternoon, but I'll read it real quick. Here's the PFF stats. Come on, open up. It's buried behind one of these screens. Here we go. Right now, the Seattle Seahawks offensive line, or offense as a whole, is rated as the number 8 offense in the league per PFF. Number 25, rated 25th in the league for their offensive line. 7th in passing, 6th in rushing, 29th in pass blocking, and 9 in run blocking. So I think that just looking at the numbers on the surface level, you're going to think that they're going to want to run the ball because they're having trouble passing the ball with pass blocking. Well, we already know that that's not going to happen. They're not going to run the ball. Nobody's been able to run the ball. So if they can somehow figure out how to beat our defense and they're able to run the ball this week, this Monday, man, too many times. Then yes, we could have some trouble, us being the Lions. I just don't see it happening. So if we are able to make this team a little bit more one-dimensional, which you know how I feel about dual threat quarterbacks, they are always 1.5 dimensions. So you can't limit Geno, just to his arm, right? He's still always going to have his legs. Then I think, the Lions are still going to have a better chance, even getting him down to having to pass the ball and having him put up the ball, 40 plus times in this game, I think is what you want to force him to do. And again, I feel like we got to play a very similar defense to what we did against the Cardinals. Jack Campbell has got to sit tight in the middle of this defense, or Alex Anzalone, somebody has to sit tight and play their coverage zone, right? Little man, little zone on each play. And that'll get it done for us this Monday night. On the defensive side of the ball, though, their defense is scary, like scary good. Right now, Seattle is ranked as the number 1 defense in the league. Number 8 in run defense, number 7 in tackling, number 14 in pass rush, number 1 in coverage. This is going to be a very difficult game for Jared Goff. And it's going to be a very difficult game for these wide receivers. We have struggled mightily on the offensive side of the ball. Unless we can run against this defense, which is going to be our only option, I believe. We're going to have to pound the rock as much as we can. That is what's going to open up play action. That is what's going to open up Jared Goff to have a little bit more opportunity in passing the ball. But we're going up against, some of the best DBs in the league. Devon Witherspoon was my favorite DB coming out of the draft last year. And as I said, this week, I felt that the Lions are probably going to take him last year had he not, been taken just before the Lions were going to pick. And that's probably why the Lions traded out and they rolled the dice on Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs. And I had the Lions selecting Jahmyr Gibbs and I had him selecting him at number 12. That was a perfect call. Wish I would have bet something like that, but I didn't. Eric, what do you think? Let's start with the defensive line here. What do you think right now for the Lions going up against this defensive line? And do you feel like they've been tested?
Well, here's the thing. Okay. So far this year, the Seattle Seahawks have given up 43 points on defense. The Detroit Lions have given up 53 points on defense. So 10 points more. But I would say this, the quality of opponent and the strength of schedule for the Detroit Lions is far and above what the Seattle Seahawks have faced so far.
I think that's a great statement.
You know, and so if you just look at the numbers of points for and points against, now the Seattle Seahawks have scored 73 points this year, and the Detroit Lions have scored 62 points. So 11 points less our offense has scored. But look at the defenses we went up against. Now, I will give them this. The Patriots have a defense. So they did go up against one good defense. But I would say that Denver and Miami, they don't have much for defense this year. So when I'm looking at this list here, you know, Miami is, they're way down. They're way down on the list. So is Denver. You know, Denver's number 32, you know. So I have to say they haven't been tested yet. And from listening to a couple of Seahawks podcasts, that's the whole vibe I'm getting, is they don't know if the team's for real either because of the quality of opponent that they've played so far. Monday is going to answer a lot of questions for our team and for the Seahawks. I think they're very, very similar teams. They're not scoring a super ton of points, and they're winning games with defense. And that's basically what we're doing. They're very, very similar.
I would agree. I would agree with all that. I think it's going to be a big statement for both teams. Number one, the Lions have clearly gone up against playoff caliber teams. Now, had Tua been in the game for Miami, I would have said that would have been a much different scenario. That would have been Seattle's first real test. Miami defense obviously didn't show up, and the Miami offense, you know, obviously is you know, limping big time because Tua's not in. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. We'll talk more about this at the noon hour today with Dan Veals with the Seahawks Forever podcast. And we'll do more of a deep dive into this week's game. And then again on Sunday, the blackout episode. Not real sure what I'm all going to have planned, but let's just say it'll be fun. We'll get a few people involved in the episode and have a good conversation, you know, about our Detroit Lions, about the Monday night, about, you know, where this team is headed, and of course the matchup, and we'll have some fun with it. So make sure you guys pay attention, turn your notifications on so that you can get notified, but pay attention to the live, you know, updates when I post things. And the best way to do that is subscribing to the channel, turning on the notifications. And then while live, please send us a like. Make sure we can get this stream out to more Lions fans or, you know, competitor opponents, so they can join in the fun and have good conversation with us. Would appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do us a favor and give us an opportunity to earn it. Every 500 subscribers, we are giving away a signed autographed mini helmet, whether it's Penei Sewell or Chris Spielman. We are only, 130 away from the next one or something like that. And it doesn't matter even if it's even an opponent that wins, it doesn't matter. It's whoever's in the live gets an opportunity to win. You know, you can have a piece of Lions memorabilia. All of these things are provided by Rocked On Detroit Lions, and everything we do here is to support Rocked On Cancer Foundation. Please visit buymeacoffee.com/Rocked On. There is links in the description of every live and every video. We're going to do a quick update from one of our sponsors, and then we're going to get into the weekly pick'ems.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uper Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from uperlights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uper Lights with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit uperlights.com for all your UV flashlight needs with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from uperlights.com.
is here, and you want the latest news and rumors on your Detroit Lions. Head to sportspider.com. That's sports, SPYDER.com, where you can get your Lions news and all your sports in one place. Man, this site is packed with your favorite podcasts, live news, articles from local writers, and insiders, all updating in real time. Not just the Lions, every major sports team, including MMA, UFC, and so much more. Don't want to waste time searching? Sign up for free. Create your ultimate sports news hub. You control what hits your feed at SportsSpider, your number one source for all your sports. Visit sportspider.com today, right after the show. All right, Eric, now it's the time for us to do our weekly predictions, and we've got about 40-plus minutes here to do it. I'm on a roll. I'm ranked 4th in the nation. And it's a good spot to be, but this is going to be a tough weekend of picking games. I'm already 1-0 again for the 4th straight week. To start off on the Thursday night game, I've picked every Thursday night game correctly so far, and I hope it stays that way. Let me get this up here.
I have not picked a single Thursday night game, right? I don't believe. And I'm probably number 4 from the bottom in the nation for pick'em, so I'm horrible.
I don't know that. I don't think you are. I don't think you're that bad. I have not tallied yours up.
Yeah. So I'm going a little extreme this week.
Well, I mean, you can always do this too. Like you just whatever you pick on Thursday night, then just switch it. Right. Go with your gut and then switch it. Then maybe that'll work.
Yeah. I'm taking whoever the underdog is next week. I got to get back on track.
See, I don't look at any of that. I mean, I know that you do. I'll let you, if you want to pull up the DraftKings or whatever, if you want to tell us what the over-under is and the...
I got all that stuff.
Yeah, if you want to take care of that, I'll do the injury part, and then we'll roll through it. So, first game of the week was the Cowboys and Giants, and of course, I picked the Cowboys to win it. And they won it. It was not a great game by any means. But I got to say this about Danny Dimes. Whoever really doubts this guy, which is everybody, you really need to go back and watch some of his tape. Like, he has got a laser for an arm. He really does. He throws a great ball. He needs a team. Like, he's one of those quarterbacks that needs a really good offensive line, just like everybody. But he doesn't have the greatest offensive line right now. And I feel like if he just had maybe it's the offensive scheme, but something's just not quite right for him. I think that if he gets onto a new team, watch out. I think right now New York has beat him up so badly that he just can't get out of his own way now. And I think that it's time, put Danny Dimes on another team. Matter of fact, ship him off to Miami. Right now is what I would do. I would get everything that you can for him and ship him off to Miami or somewhere, and he will bounce back. Now, it's going to be a little bit tough from him going from a cold New York style of state to Miami, but it'll take him a year to probably adjust. But I think that his career can definitely be resurrected without a doubt. But let's get into the Bengals and the Panthers as our first game of the weekend.
All right. The Cincinnati Bengals are favored by 4.5. The over-under is 47 points. And it is the Bengals at the Panthers. So I am going out on a limb with this one right here. I am going Cincinnati, 27 points, to Carolina's 28 points. I'm picking the underdog, and Cincinnati's going to 0-4.
What was your score again?
27-28 for Carolina. Home dogs, I'm taking them.
27-20. That's a weird score.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I think I'm going to pull up Bleacher Report this week and to see what they have to say about a few things. I never use Bleacher Report. There's a reason for that. They're always wrong. Where's the game? It's not showing up here. Should be right at the top. I mean, it's like one of the first games of the week. But here we go. Here's what they say. The Cincinnati Bengals will look to become the 7th team in the NFL history to start 0-3 and make the playoffs. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. Following a 38-33 loss to the Washington Commanders, Joe Burrow told reporters that the Bengals season is not over. Well, technically it's not, dude. You still got 14 games to go, but it's over, dude. The Bengals must pick themselves up on the road in a matchup with the resurgency of the Carolina Panthers that throttled the Las Vegas Raiders 36-22. The Panthers' biggest news of the week is they put in Andy Dalton. And I told everybody last week, the minute that Andy Dalton enters this game, the Carolina Panthers are going to win. And they did in fitting fashion. The guy threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in his first game back. And that is not going to change this week. The Carolina Panthers they're gonna win this game running away, in my opinion. What was the spread? -4.5?
Yeah.
So I really don't pick spreads. Like I pick my scores, and it's really not based on the spread. But you know, where are people seeing this game's going to line up? They see the Bengals winning by 7. They see the Bengals winning by 7, and they're the they're the favorite by 4.5. So I'm going to go ahead and give this game the old 24 to Carolina. And I'm going to give 17 to Cincinnati. Carolina wins this game.
Wow. Now, 76% of the bets this weekend have been made on the Cincinnati Bengals to win the game.
Well, sorry for your luck. Next up, we got the Saints and the Falcons.
All right. Saints, Falcons. Let me find that one.
It's Falcons at home. The Saints had a pretty tough week 3. Let me pull it up here. I don't know why it's so difficult to find. I don't like Bleacher Report's setup.
Yeah, Saints, Falcons. Let's see. The Atlanta Falcons are favored by 2.5 since they're the home team, I suppose. The over-under is 42, and 69% of the bets have been placed on New Orleans. And I'm going to take New Orleans 24-17 over the Atlanta Falcons.
All right. So obviously the New Orleans Saints got off to an extremely hot start. I did forget injuries though. I apologize. Real quick, Bengals and Panthers. Because it does matter. For the Bengals, tight end Tanner Hudson's questionable with a knee. He did not practice on Thursday. Trey Hendrickson, defensive end, illness, will not practice on Thursday. Some have even speculated that this Trey Hendrickson illness means that the Lions are potentially involved in conversation. I'm not going to speculate any more on that. I got some feelers out there in Cincy. We'll see what happens. Trent Brown, offensive tackle, is now out as of September 24. He will require season-ending injury or surgery. Sheldon Rankins, another big part of Cincinnati Bengals defensive line, he is questionable. He should play. B.J. Hill, defensive tackle, has a hamstring. He is inactive for Monday night's game already. So I don't know why. I'm sorry. He was inactive for Monday night's game against Washington. So he's on his way back. We'll see what happens. No real other injuries for the Bengals to report other than those. Everybody else was lost, to the season prior to August 29th. Now for the Carolina Panthers, safety Jordan Fuller, as of September 26th, was placed on injured reserve, and Adam Thielen, wide receiver, as of September 26th, was also placed on injured reserve. He won't require surgery for his hammy, but he is done. Damian Lewis, their guard, had an elbow injury, did not practice on Thursday. And then Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver, good breakout week, listed as questionable. No other information to follow. Shai Tuttle, defensive tackle, had a foot injury, did not practice. And Jonathan Brooks is listed as out already with a knee injury. He's in the final stages of his recovery from a torn ACL. So he's been on his way back now for close to 11 months. Nick Scott, as of the 25th, had a quadriceps injury, was listed as limited. And Ashawn Robinson, old babyface Ashawn Robinson, listed with a knee injury, did not practice on Wednesday. Possible that he gets back in the game. And then Lonnie Johnson is the only other one, which from the week before, he exited the game, I believe, against the Raiders with a groin injury. So he's listed as questionable. So a lot of injuries here for the Panthers, but I still have faith in them. Again, now moving on to Atlanta and New Orleans. Atlanta injuries. You have Matthew Judon, which is a big one. Linebacker has a hammy injury, listed as limited. Bijan Robinson, another big one, listed as questionable. At Thursday's practice, he was limited due to a shoulder injury. So you've got to watch for that one during the game. If he is in and he takes, a nasty hit, nasty tackle, something, lands wrong on his shoulder, it could be re-aggravated and it could wipe him out of the game. So I'd be questioning your fantasy lineups too with this. Just pay attention to the injury reports. But he is someone that could go down, during the game. Drew Dahlman, center, injured reserve. So that's a big one for Atlanta. Obviously, that's not going to help Kirk Cousins. And then Caleb McGarry from the week before as well exited the game against the Chiefs. Believed to suffer an MCL sprain. Listed as questionable. More than likely will not play. And then nothing else really for the Falcons to report. It was all much older information. New Orleans suffered a rash of injuries. A.T. Perry still has a hamstring injury. Cedric Wilson Jr., the other wide receiver, has an ankle injury. Alvin Kamara, having a great season, running back, has a hip and a ribs issue. He is limited on Thursday. Demario Davis, linebacker, hamstring, and Landon Young, offensive tackle. Cesar Ruiz, center, listed as questionable. They should play. Eric McCoy, big one. The other center, groin injury, injured reserve on Wednesday. He will no longer be playing this season. Nobody else really to report. It was all older news. So what was your score for the week?
For New Orleans at Atlanta?
You got it.
24 New Orleans, 17 Atlanta. I'm taking the away team.
Okay.
I just don't think Atlanta's got enough.
So far, it appears that the Saints are getting favored in the picks.
Mm-hmm.
The ATS consensus is the Saints +2. What was the over-under? Because right now it has Atlanta as a -2 favorite.
2.5.
And it's 2.5. Okay.
Yep.
Not that I really use that stuff.
But this has Atlanta Falcons as a 2.5 point favorite.
Yeah, that's what I said, didn't I?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you said the Saints.
No. So after scoring, the Saints field the second ranked scoring offense in the league that features a top rushing offense in total yards. And Derek Carr has been pinpoint accurate with a 68.8 completion rate. He did have a rough week this last week, but he did have they're saying that he had an exhilarating game-winning drive to beat the Eagles in week 2. The Falcons really haven't hit their stride yet, but they nearly upset the Kansas City Chiefs last Sunday. Man, they had that game won.
Yeah. BS non-call.
This is going to be a tough game. This is a tough game to pick. You just don't know what's going to happen with Kamara. You don't know what's going to happen with Bijan. If I were to take a pot shot guess, and I don't have PFF open right now, so I'm not real sure where their offense and defensive lines rank right now. And I really haven't done that all year. I haven't really picked based on that, even though I should. That's why I review things and put out my final on Saturdays at 11:30. And then I update it on Twitter on Sunday if I need to. I'm going to go ahead and roll New Orleans with this one. And I'm going to go 23. I know it's a weird number. To Atlanta's 18.
Hmm.
Next up, Jags and Texans.
All right, the Jaguars and the Texans. Interesting game because the good old Jaguars could go to 0-4. The Jaguars have not won a game yet this year. The Texans are favored by 6.5. The over-under is 46.5 points. And I am guessing the overwhelming majority, yes, 88% of bets have been made on Houston so far. And that's who I'm rolling with. And it's going to be a low-scoring battle. So, Jacksonville 10 and Houston 13.
So to all the guys and ladies in the chat, this is the most boring part of the show on Friday afternoons. I see you guys are having a blast in the chat, and I love it. So just keep it rolling. We'll get through this, and hopefully get quicker at it. Next week we're gonna have these picked beforehand so that we can just roll right through it.
Yep. I got mine filled out already.
Yeah, I don't. I do it live. Jacksonville and Houston. So injury report here. Come on. Where is it? Yeah, and next week I'm going to trim all these so that I can just have all the good ones listed here. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Damian Pierce, Joe Mixon. I mean, the stars of the Houston Texans offense, all listed as limited in some fashion with hamstrings, chest injuries, hamstrings, ankles. Jimmy Ward and Fatukasi on the defensive side listed as questionable. And anything else before that was more than a week old. So they did not play in the previous game either, like Brevin Jordan or Jeff Okudah. So the Houston Texans obviously have somewhat of an issue on their offense right now, and it could be a big reason as to why they really struggled last week. The Jags, look, you can't trust them. You can't trust them at all right now. They are probably one of the worst teams in the NFL, in my opinion. You never know what you're going to get, man. It's like a box of chocolates right now. Injury wise, though, at least we know that as soon as I can find it. Come on. Here we go. Devin Lloyd, Olukun, Brown, Savage, Jones, and Jones, yeah, all listed as questionable on the defense. Jones left during the Bills matchup. Savage has a quadriceps injury, should be back this week, so he should play, which would be a big bump because I don't think he played last week. Devin Lloyd, one of my favorite linebackers to come out of the draft a couple seasons ago. Really like this guy. He did not practice on Thursday, though. Evan Ingram on the offensive side of the ball. Tank Bigsby, Gabe Davis, who I just dropped off my fantasy league. They are all also limited. So I'm not a big fan right now of the Jags. I think it's just too much inconsistency. But at the same time, Houston is hurt. This could be a closer game than I'm expecting it. I think that what most people are expecting. But I think that Houston pulls this one out. I think that they do. What was the over-under on it?
6.5
for Houston.
Yes.
Okay. Let me get to the statement here. Yeah, remind me to never use Bleacher Report again.
Yep. Don't use a Bleacher Report again.
Jesus. It is so bad. Let me just get out of here. Let me go back to the other one.
Yeah. And I have this as a very low scoring game, very tight game. Comes down to a field goal at the end of the game, 13-10.
13-10, who do you have?
Houston. Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to try all he might, but they're going to drop to 0-4, and Doug Peterson is going to get replaced by none other than Bill Belichick.
I don't think it'll happen this early.
Well, that was my wild take for Friday. Come on.
All right. I like it, though. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's pretty wild.
I didn't say it was going to happen this week. It's going to happen, though.
There you go. All right. Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans, -6.5 to the Texans. Jags are 0-3 and coming off a horrible loss on Monday night, which means this is a short week for them playing bad football. The Texans weren't good last week either. against the Minnesota Vikings, but CJ Stroud will bounce back here against a bad Jacksonville defense. Texans take it, and according to CBS, man, they're calling this 30-16 clean sweep of the Jags. I don't think it's going to be that close. I think that Houston, I mean, I know that they're going to want to get up early, but I feel like Houston's got some of their own issues with these injuries, like I was just saying. So I'm going to keep this one a little bit closer, but I'm going to go 24 for Houston, which I think is still too many points. And I'm going to go 17 for the Jags. But Houston wins this game. And I know it's not close, but 7 points is, they cover whatever, even though I don't really care if they cover, because these are just pick'ems. It's just money line. That's just how I do it. But that's it for me. Next game, Broncos and Jets. Jets at home.
Broncos and Jets. If I can find it here. Broncos and Jets. Okay. So the New York Jets are favored by 7.5 points. The over-under is 39.5. They think this is going to be a low-scoring game. And so far, the bettors are putting their money on the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers. 84% of the bets are on the New York Jets. Well, I am going to shock the world. And Bo Nix is going to get his second win of the season. I'm going Denver 27, New York Jets at home losing 21. 27-21 Denver.
Yeah, I think you're did you fall down?
Yes.
Did you fall down on a bike ride or something?
Yep, a whole bunch of times.
Jeez, oh Pete's, man. You think the Jets are going to lose to the Broncos at home?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Really? I mean, I understand you're trying to differentiate right now. I get it.
Yeah, I have to pick some weird ones because I got to make up some. I got to make up on some. And this season has been weird. All the teams that have been favored by the most have lost this year. The biggest spreads this year, every one of them has lost the game.
Well, the Broncos are playing consecutive road games, but they did stay in West Virginia, and they played well last week, beating the Bucs. But this is a much tougher defense, so that's interesting. So you remember how I've said? Hold on,
I got you thinking.
No, you remember how I said that teams would be smart that when they're on the road, that don't go back home.
Yep.
Like, go to your next destination and just get to work. Don't go home and then have to travel again. Just finish the game, go to your next destination. If you got back-to-back road games, get to work. And it sounds like what the Broncos kind of did here.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding this correctly, the Broncos are on consecutive road games. And after last week's game against the Bucs, they went to West Virginia to hang out before the game against the New York Jets. So they're a matter of a couple hours away from the stadium.
Yep.
So anyway, it says that, the Jets are a much tougher defense. This will be a problem for Bo Nix, and I believe the same thing. Aaron Rodgers got it going last week, and that will continue. The Jets win big here, 27-17, according to Pete Prisco of CBS Sports. And you know what? I don't disagree. But I don't know if the Jets are going to put up 24 or 27. I think the Jets are going to put up 31. And I think that Denver is going to play well, but not well enough. I'm going to slide them in at. I'm going to have to slide them in at. Yeah, kicking field goals is going to be tough too. I'm going to go 17 for Denver.
Yeah. The ayahuasca is wearing off. Denver wins.
Oh, that's what you called. We'll see.
Yep.
All right, next up, we have Vikings and Packers, the first divisional matchup for the NFC North. And I already know who you're picking, but you don't want to pick them.
No, you don't. You don't.
The other day, you said you're picking the Packers.
Yeah, but this is different.
I'm sorry. The other day you were saying you were picking the Vikings. Sorry.
Yeah. This is different. Okay.
You finally listened?
No. I didn't listen.
Of course not.
Okay. 71% of the money going online is going for the Vikings.
Yeah.
The Vikings are 3-point underdogs. The over-under is 44. Let me look at something really quick here. So, let's see. Defense. Minnesota is ranked 8th. Green Bay is all the way down at 23rd. Defense wins games, correct?
Nope. Offense does.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go with offense then. Minnesota's ranked number 2.
Yep.
Green Bay is ranked number 16.
And now add in the fact that this is Lambeau Field.
I don't care about home field advantage on this one. I am taking, and you're not going to like this one. I am going to take the Minnesota Vikings over the Green Bay Packers by a field goal, 31-28.
All right, dude. This game is it's a cluster F because we don't know if Jordan Love is coming back. And according to this report, it says that he was a limited participant on Thursday's practice. Tom Silverstein of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reported that head coach Matt LaFleur was quoted as saying this: "We will see," when asked about Love's status for Sunday's game against the Vikings. We'll give him up to game time. So this is why it's going to be hard to pick this game today accurately. I would say this: if Malik Willis is starting this game,
over,
then Minnesota wins. And the reason why is because then they're going to try to run the ball, and that's not going to work against Minnesota's defense. If Jordan Love plays this game, I think two things are possible here. He could manage the air attack a little bit better than Willis, but he's also an injury risk, which means that Willis could still play. I don't like either situation for the Packers. I mean, as much as I can't really care who wins here, except for the fact I do not want Minnesota taking a 4-0 lead in the North and a 1-0 lead in the North for division games. Something's got to give. I mean, overall wins matters the most. And right now, Devonta Wyatt is listed as questionable on the defensive side. Luke Musgrave, the tight end, was limited on Thursday. And Jaden Reed, who is the most important, wide receiver, in my opinion, has a calf and a quad injury, was listed as limited on Thursday. We don't know about Jordan, and the Jair Alexander has a quadriceps injury listed as limited. So Kenny Clark, Carrington Valentine, and Jordan Morgan, their new offensive tackle, are also banged up. I swear I have never seen injury reports like this. In the beginning of a season, there's literally 12 guys listed on every team's injury report, and half of them are on IR or more. It's crazy. I've never seen it this bad. And I'm going to say it again. The NFL is making these players soft by not playing preseason games. They're making these players soft by not having, enough hitting during the summer. Injuries are going to happen. I'd rather have it happen before you have to pick a 53-man roster than after. Minnesota, on the flip side here, they got Christian Darrisaw, their offensive tackle, questionable. Jordan Addison, he's their best wide receiver at times. Justin Jefferson obviously is the top dog, but he is their best wide receiver at times when Justin Jefferson is, being bracketed down. It's really tough to stop Justin Jefferson. But Jordan Addison is highly needed in this game. He's got an ankle injury. He's listed as limited. Dalton Risner, another offensive lineman, on injured reserve now. So they just lost one of their better guards. Ivan Pace Jr., one of their best linebackers, has an ankle injury. He was also listed as limited. He went through walkthroughs, or he did not participate in walkthroughs on Wednesday. Josh Oliver, okay tight end, not real big here, listed as limited. And then you got Jay Ward, Grugier Hill, Ballard, and Garrett Bradbury, all listed as questionable. So both teams have some injuries. I would say that Green Bay's injuries are probably more important. According to Pete Prisco, be interesting to see what he says here. Good old Pete. Pistol Pete. All right, he says this is one of the games of the week. The Vikings are 3-0, riding high, while the Packers are 2-1 and have won 2 games with Malik Willis, which is nuts. That's because the defense has been outstanding. Same for the Vikings. That means that this should be a low-scoring game. Packers take it 21-17. That's according to Pete Prisco. I'm gonna have to side with Green Bay with the home field advantage for now, and I hope that they beat Minnesota, because we just can't have Minnesota getting too big of a head here. Green Bay 17, Minnesota 10. Defense game. All right, what's next? We have Steelers Colts. Colts at home.
Oh, here's a good one. So Steelers Colts. Steelers are favored by 1.5. Over under is 40, and 74% of the bets are going on Pittsburgh. And I have, let's see.
Don't forget to get those likes up, people. Would appreciate it. I see you guys chatting away, man. It's crazy cool in here. Seahawk fan, he's having fun, aren't you? Got to give us a thumbs up, Seahawk fan. Make sure you send all of your Seahawk friends over to the Noon Hour podcast today with one of your best podcasts out there in Seattle. Seattle Seahawks Forever is going to be joining us today.
I like it. So I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers to go 4-0, 21-14 at Indy. So I'm taking another away team.
Okay. Pittsburgh's riding high right now, and Justin Fields has found resurgency under this Steelers umbrella here. Coaching is it's a big thing in the NFL. I mean, to see that Justin Fields has had a transformation, not only of his playing style, but I think of his mental aptitude and attitude has really changed while he's been in Pittsburgh. He's kind of refound himself a little bit, and it is good to see. I don't like the fact that Justin kind of gashed us up all the time, when he was in Chicago, but coaching is real. It has a real impact. I mean, just look at Dan Campbell and look what he's done for the Detroit Lions. Tomlin is having that effect on Justin Fields right now. Anyway, the Steelers are riding high at 3-0. Their style does travel very well. They're a physical defense. They will limit the Colts' run game and make Anthony Richardson beat them, and he won't, according to Pete Prisco. The Steelers and Justin Fields will do enough on offense to pull out a victory. Steelers 20-16, according to good old Pete here. The bonus, though, I guess there's a sports line projection model, which is up well over $7,000 for $100 players on top-rated NFL picks since its inception. Likes the Steelers to cover against the Colts in week 4. I don't know what any of that means. I don't have a clue what that betting stuff is. Don't really care. Injury report, though. Let's take a look at the injury report. Pittsburgh. We'll start with Pittsburgh. How bad is it? All right. Jalen Warren, running back. He's listed as he didn't participate yesterday. Russell Wilson, nobody cares about. Corey Trice Jr., cornerback, was listed on injured reserve as of the 24th. Also, as of the 24th, Pruitt and Alex Highsmith listed as out already for this week. So that means they're missing one of their best linebackers, one of their better tight ends, one of their better cornerbacks, and it doesn't get any better from there. Isaac Seumalo, their guard, is listed as questionable, and as of the 22nd, Troy Fontenot, their rookie offensive tackle, is on IR. They've already lost Skrowinek, Matekovic, Johnston, Lee, Holcomb, Moon, Cook, Watts, Herbig, and Perales, all on IR. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They have 11 guys on IR before week 4. That is nuts.
Whoa.
That's craziness. Something's in the water, man.
I told you there's a lot of injuries through week 4.
I mean, there's hundreds of major injuries.
Yep.
There's only so many players in the league. So for the Colts, you got Tyquan Lewis, Ryan Kelly, Kwity Paye, Kenny Moore, and Chris Lemons, all listed as questionable. Nobody else on this injury list really matters because it was prior to September 17th, which means they were not in the last game as well. But DeForest Buckner was a big loss for the Colts. But everyone's listed as questionable. The Colts are really healthy. Can they stop Justin Fields is going to be the question. And healthy is a term that I guess is subjective, because what's healthy in the NFL? I hate to do it, but you know what? For some reason, it just tells me the Colts are going to do it. I think they're going to have a little bit of trouble with Richardson. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to go Indy. So Prisco was 20-16. I'm going to flip it 20-16 for the Colts.
Yeah. I read something a long time ago that you never bet against a home dog. Like, home dogs are like, they're in the like 90% range or something for betting against.
The Colts are at home.
Yeah. And they're a home dog. That's what I'm saying.
But you picked against them. You took Pitt.
I did on this one. I did. And don't you get the warm, fuzzy feelings from Dan Campbell that he could end up being like Tomlinson and be around for a really long time?
Oh yeah, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
He could be. I think he should be. I don't know. He could just win a couple of Lombardis and ride off. Who knows?
Well, that too.
But Dan is. I don't know. He's different.
I'd like to see him around for the long run. Let's have a coach for 20 plus.
It's like
years.
one of those guys you just don't see growing old. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see him.
Yeah.
What would he look like in 30 years? You know,
still beating people up.
I mean, he's going to be massive. His whole life. All right, Chicago and the Rams. Look, the Rams pulled out a stunner against the 49ers, an absolute stunner last week. Nobody projected the Rams were going to pull that out.
Yep.
I thought it was going to be a decent game. Well, I mean, what did I pick? I picked the Rams 17-21. I picked San Francisco to win that game, and it ended up being 27-24. So it was still a really tight game. I had a 4-point spread. It was a 3-point spread at the end of it, and yeah, tight game. This is another one. Could be tight. I don't trust Chicago, but what do you got for over-unders and everything else?
All right, so it's a 3-point spread. The Chicago Bears are favored by 3, so that's just for being the home team. They're pretty even, and the over-under is 40 points. Let's see. Right now, 71% of the bets are going for the LA Rams, and I am going to keep that a tradition and keep it going. I am picking Los Angeles Rams. Where is my pick? Let's see here.
Real quick, Sebastian, I would go with the latter. Without knowing anything, I would go with the latter. Devontae, Dobbins, and Robinson.
All right. I'm going to pick the LA Rams to upset the Chicago Bears 17-13.
Ooh, a low scoring affair, huh?
Yep. And my wild pick of the week is that Caleb Williams does not throw a touchdown this week.
Huh. Well, Well, let's start here. Let's start with the injury report.
Sure.
All right, so the Bears. Kevin Byard, questionable. Did not practice Thursday. Keenan Allen, heel. Practiced on a limited basis on Thursday. He's going to have a tough day. Rome Odunze, questionable. Practiced in a limited capacity. Hip injury. Defensive end, Darrell Taylor, questionable. Braxton Jones, offensive tackle, questionable. Andrew Billings, defensive tackle, questionable. Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, did not practice Wednesday. Has a back injury. Zach Pickens, defensive tackle, questionable. Blassingame, fullback, questionable. And then as of the 22nd of September, Terrell Smith was doubtful to return to the game in Indianapolis. No real news update on him so far. So the Bears have quite a few injuries, and they also have about 10 players on IR. The Rams, we know the Rams are decimated. How they pulled out this game, I don't know. Davis Allen, tight end, questionable. That was the only real major issue this week. He's got a back injury. He was limited at practice on Wednesday. And besides that, you have Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Jonah Jackson, John Johnson, Steve Avila, Joe Noteboom, Darius Williams, Connor McDermott, KT Leviston, Trey Tomlinson, Laurel Murchison, Tyler Higbee, and Darian Kendrick all on IR or out. But that was a lot of those prior to September 25th. So nothing, no real major changes this week. Puka Nacua was spotted working on the sideline on Wednesday's practice. There is a slim to none possibility that he comes back right on time around October 20th, and Cooper Kupp's not due back till October 6th, so you won't have either of them. Sounds like my audio just changed for some reason.
Sounds the same to me.
Weird. I'm going Rams. I don't know why. I'm going Rams. It's probably because it's Matthew Stafford, and he's got plenty of experience against the Chicago Bears. He's got plenty of experience playing at Soldier Field. Now, the Rams came from behind to beat the 49ers last week. They're a good team with a good defense. I think the defense is going to completely terrorize Caleb Williams in this game. While the Bears lost to Indy, Chicago really isn't running the football. Why? Because we told you, DeAndre Swift is terrible, which puts a lot of pressure on Caleb Williams. You know what? He tossed a few balls around last week, had a pretty decent game, but throwing just as many interceptions as touchdowns is not going to help you. The Rams still have Matt Stafford, which is the guy that I'm picking to win this game, who flourishes no matter where he's throwing or who he's throwing to. The Rams get this one behind Stafford and drop the Bears to 1-3, according to Pete Prisco, 26-20. I love it. I do believe that Chicago's going to lose this game, but I'm going to give them 13 points as well. And I'm going to give the Los Angeles Rams 24. Rams lock it up.
Nice.
So we are in cahoots on that one, I guess you could say. Eagles and Bucks. Bucks are the home team.
Yep. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 1.5 point dogs. So the Eagles are favored by 1.5. The over-under is 43, and most people are betting on the Eagles at 64%. So I did something crazy on this game. I took Tampa Bay, the home dog, to win 17-14 over the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to stick with my low scores for a lot of these games today.
So obviously Philly's still, reeling a little bit from some injuries. Devonta Smith is more than likely not going to play. A.J. Brown still out, more than likely not going to play. Milton Williams, defensive tackle, he should play. He's only questionable. They moved Britain Covey, their other wide receiver, to injured reserve. Lane Johnson, offensive tackle, still questionable. He was ruled out of the Saints game due to a concussion, so he's obviously still in protocol. As far as Tampa Bay goes, Tampa Bay not really anything different than what we've seen since week 2. Antoine Winfield, still battling, still making the injury report. He did not practice on Thursday. Greg Gaines, defensive tackle, is questionable, should play. Godwin, Chris Godwin has a neck injury, was limited. More than likely will play. Mike Evans was limited. He's got a knee injury. Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle, questionable. O'Keefe, tight end, questionable. William Goldston, defensive end, questionable. And that's why I'm taking Philly. So I'm taking Philly in this game. There's too many injuries for Tampa Bay. I don't think that they're going to be able to overcome, even though Philly is going to be without Devonta Smith and without, A.J. Brown, they still have Jalen Hurts. And Hurts can hurt you. And if Tampa Bay is, this banged up, they can win this game with just Jalen Hurts if they really wanted to. It just depends on how they scheme this game up. Pete Prisco, here's what he thinks. This is the second straight road game for the Eagles against an NFC South opponent. They beat the Saints last week, which I believe was another barn burner, right, towards the end there. The Bucs were awful last week in losing to the Broncos, but that could have been a sandwich game between the Lions and the Eagles. I'm not sure what that means. The Bucs are so banged up on defense, and the offensive line had issues last week that carries over. Philadelphia wins 23-19, according to Pete Prisco. I do like the call here. I do think it's going to be a low-scoring affair as well. I'm going to go ahead and slide Philly to 17, and I'm going to put Tampa Bay at 9.
Oh, wow. Taking the Eagles.
Yeah. I mean, I could slide Tampa to 10. I mean, they could get one touchdown, but I see a few field goals coming out of this. Yeah, I guess I should probably go 10. I'll leave it alone. I'll probably change these anyway. Tampa and Philly for you. You picked Tampa, right?
Yep.
And what was your score?
17-14, Tampa Bay.
Okay. Up next, Patriots and Niners. Niners at home.
Oh, this one's special. So the Patriots are 10.5-point dogs. The over-under 40.5. Now, remember what I said about those dogs.
Oh, Lord.
San Francisco is 89% bet on. So all of the biggest spreads this year in the NFL have lost, whether they're at home or away. Doesn't matter. The biggest spreads each week have lost every week. In an upset, I don't know. I just have a feeling about New England that they're going to take care of business. This is going to be probably the lowest scoring game of the week. I am in an upset taking New England 10-7 over the San Francisco 49ers. 10-7 in a snoozer. Watch, it'll be the highest scoring game of the week.
Yeah, so what was your score?
10-7.
For San Fran?
No, for New England. I'm taking New England in this one.
Oh, my God.
Listen, San Fran is so banged up right now. And I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying that Christian McCaffrey, he went to England to get this Achilles thing looked at, and they're saying they think he's out for the season.
Well, yeah, I think we kind of expected that.
They're thinking he might not even play this year.
Yeah.
So, listen, if he's out, and he was the number one player taken in almost every single fantasy draft. So I'm glad I didn't have number one this year. I'm glad I didn't take Christian McCaffrey. Oh, my God. How bad would that be?
Yeah, here's what I would say. On the Fantasy Football Tonight show on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m., we said that Christian McCaffrey was going to be a problem. We said that Christian McCaffrey wasn't going to play this season, and that even if he did play, that he was going to be a liability. That was on the very first episode. That Christian McCaffrey just couldn't be trusted. He's injured, it seems like too often, and his age is starting to catch up with him, and that's what you're seeing right now. But yeah, when you look at the injury report, I guess we'll start with the heavy hitters. Dre Greenlaw, John Hargrave, they're both out. Ricky Pearsall still out after being, caught up in that unfortunate situation. But other than that, I mean, everyone else has been out prior to August 29th. Curtis Robinson, linebacker, he left Thursday's practice due to a knee injury, so that's new. Probably won't play. Jacob Cowing, wide receiver, he's listed as questionable. Jordan Elliott, defensive tackle, questionable. George Kittle, tight end, did practice on a limited basis on Thursday, so he should play this weekend. Debo was also limited. He'll probably play this weekend. So who else are they really missing other than McCaffrey?
Yeah, but Debo and Kittle, they neither one of them played last week, and they're going to be hobbled this week.
Maybe.
I can't listen, in fantasy football, I can't trust either one of them.
Yeah, but this isn't fantasy football.
And well, I know, but this is real football. I can't trust either one of them to play this week.
But they're going to play. So on the New England side, you've got Hunter Henry, tight end, Caden Wallace, Jordan Jones, Anfernee Jennings, Christian Gonzalez, which is their big time corner, Alex Austin, Juwan Bentley, Verdanian Lowe, all listed as questionable besides Bentley. I apologize. He's on IR. He's got a pectoral injury. Nobody else really matters because they were on the practice. They were on the injury report prior to, but all of those players should play, as we know right now, other than Bentley. The New England Patriots are just not a good team at all. This is a long trip for the Patriots. They're just not playing well. They're not playing well against the 49ers, even though the 49ers have a lot of injuries. To your point, the 49ers blew their game against the Rams last week, and they still put up plenty of points against a really good defense last week. The Patriots don't have a defense that can hold a candle to the Rams defense. Brock Purdy will play well in this game, while the defense limits a bad Pats offense. Pete Prisco has the San Francisco 49ers winning 24-7. I think it's going to be 24-10. San Fran.
So the New England Patriots have the 13th ranked defense. San Francisco has the 12th ranked defense.
I think it's a big difference in defense, though. Commanders and Cardinals. Cardinals at home.
Okay, we have the Washington Commanders and the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a 3.5 point favorite. Over under is 50. They think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. And it's about 50-50. 53% of the bets are for Arizona. Let's see who I have in this game. So I have a barn burner. 35-38. Arizona takes it with a field goal at the very end of the game. Kyler Murray gets kicking. He gets rolling again. And in Washington, Jaden Daniels slings that ball around. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
Sorry, I was trying to get the chat back open. All right, chat's back open now. It was disappeared from me for some reason. So what was your score? I just missed your score.
38-35, Arizona Cardinals.
Wow.
Barn burner. This is going to be the one game where we get a lot of points scored because neither one of them have much for defense.
Wow. That is a huge score. Pete Prisco. Here's what he says. As soon as I can find it. Come on. Here we go. Washington at Arizona, -3.5 for the Cardinals. This is the second straight road game on a short week, too, for the Commanders, which is very tough. The Cardinals have played very well, but they are 1-2, losing two pretty close games. Look for Kyler Murray to win in a shootout with Jaden Daniels. This will be fun to watch. Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in this draft class. I said it prior to the draft. I said it during the draft, and I'm going to stick by it after the draft. Jaden Daniels is finally starting to come alive. I do believe that the issue is going to be Kyler Murray. What is he going to be able to do against this Washington Commanders defense, which is a crapshoot? We know that. It is a crapshoot of what you're going to get from week to week with the Commanders. I lost my PFF. I don't know what the defenses are ranked right now. which I guess is probably not a big deal. Injury-wise, here we go. Injury-wise, for Washington, you have Jamison Crowder, wide receiver, listed as DNP for Thursday. Benjamin St. Juste, corner, listed as per limited on Wednesday. And Sam Kosmi, the guard, listed as questionable. All three should play. On the 25th of September, they've added Cleveland Farrell and Austin Eckler, their running back, to out. Does not look like they're coming back. But that's the only injuries that Washington really suffered in the last week. So nothing too crazy. Yep. Arizona on the other side, they lost Trey McBride, remember, to a concussion versus the Detroit Lions. It is possible that he comes back, but he did not participate. So that is a big time loss. Marvin Harrison Jr. also went down in the game against the Lions with a quad injury. He was limited he was listed as a limited participant on Thursday's report. So you got to watch out for Harrison to be a little gimpy in this game. Justin Jones, defensive tackle, has been placed on IR with a triceps injury. And Calvin Beachum, offensive tackle, been a consistent problem for Arizona Cardinals, and it has not changed this week. So fairly even as far as injuries, but I think that Trey McBride is a big loss, and I think Marvin Harrison Jr. being a little bit hampered right now, and the offensive line kind of tattered for Arizona. I think Arizona, even though I picked them to be my 2024 style of the 23 Texans, I think that they're just going to have a rough start to the season. They're going to go down 1-4, and then they will bounce back, I think, as teams, start to get healthier throughout the season. You have it 38-35. Yep. I think it could be a higher scoring game. I'm going to give it to Washington. I think my big call of the week right now is Jaden Daniels leads a fourth quarter drive to win this game. I don't think that more than one score separates these teams, but I am going to go Washington. I am going to go Washington with 31, and I'm going to go Arizona 24.
Okay, so I did have a chance to look at their defenses. According to PFF, Washington has the worst at 32nd, and Arizona is at 27.
Yeah, their defenses are trash.
Yep. So that's why I think it's going to be score.
Could be. The biggest question is who has the better running game. And right now, I think you've got fairly equal quarterbacks that are both dual threat, both more mobile. The difference could be James Conner. Right. If Arizona gets James Conner or gets, Conner going, then yeah, it's going to be a long day for Washington. I might flip flop this one, but right now I'm taking Washington as of today. I just need to see some more injury reports this afternoon. Next up, Chiefs and Chargers.
Chiefs and Chargers. This is an interesting one. So the Chargers are a 7-point home dog. The Chiefs are favored by 7. The over-under is 40. And 89% of the bets that have been placed are on the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, I don't believe in the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe in Harbaugh. I believe in the run game for the LA Chargers. I don't know what's going to happen at quarterback, but even without knowing the injury report, I am taking the LA Chargers 22 to the Kansas City Chiefs 21.
Yeah, I think you're missing a big point in this game. Justin Herbert has been hampered big time by injury. The status, of him, in this game is still kind of up in the air. If he plays, the Chargers have a chance to win. But as we saw last week, he clearly was in some pain. Like he couldn't use his feet the way that he normally does. He couldn't step into his throws. But if he doesn't, step into this game, I still think that they might keep it a little bit close. But the Chiefs are playing consecutive road games, and they just haven't looked as crisp this season. But I don't think it's a reason to be concerned. Prisco has them winning 23-20 for the Chiefs. I'm in line to take the Chiefs this weekend. As much as I dislike the Chiefs, they just seem to find a way to win. The Chargers injury report is not looking the greatest. You got Darius Davis, Justin Herbert, Hayden Hurst, Junior Colson, Joey Bosa, Jasir Taylor, Trey Pipkins Jr. or Dre Pipkins III, Christian Fulton, Joe Alt, their big time offensive linemen, in the first round this season. All listed as questionable. Even Rashawn Slater listed as questionable, but Joe Alt and Slater have been listed since prior to the last game. Joe Alt has a sprained MCL. I'm not sure that he's going to play this week. He could, but everybody else looks like they have a possibility to play. Darius Davis, the wide receiver, he didn't practice on Thursday. Junior Colson didn't practice on Wednesday, the former Michigan product. And Bosa didn't practice on Wednesday. And so those are kind of big, right? Your linebacker core is pretty beat up. As far as the Kansas City Chiefs, they always find a way to win, man. They tick me off to no end. Mike Dana is the only one that was added this week, and he's got a calf injury. He did not participate on Thursday, but I expect that to be out of an abundance of caution. The Chiefs are rolling into this game much more healthy than the Chargers, even though Isaiah Pacheco has landed on injured reserve prior to the previous game, and Hollywood Brown has been out. So I've got to take the Chiefs here. I do think it's close either way, but then again, it's all dependent. And if Herbert doesn't play, it's not close. If Herbert does play, I think it'll be a little bit closer. So I'm going to bank on the fact that Herbert's playing, and I'm going to keep it 24 to let's go 19. KC.
All right.
Your score was
22-21 LA.
All right. 22. Weird scores.
Yep.
I don't even know how you get to 22.
You miss a field goal. You miss something.
You'd have to miss extra point.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Browns and Raiders.
Browns.
Raiders at home.
Raiders at the Raiders. The Raiders are 1.5 point favorites. It's 37 for the over-under, so it's going to be a low-scoring game, they predict. And this one is 50-50. She's a coin flip. 50% for Cleveland, 50% for Las Vegas. That's how the betting's going so far. I don't have faith in either one of these teams. So it was kind of a coin flip for me. And let's see where that score is for me. I got it in here somewhere. Where it is. Okay. So I went with the road team, the Cleveland Browns, by a field goal. 13 points for Cleveland, 10 points for Las Vegas. I also think this is going to be a lower scoring game.
You had the Browns win in this game?
Yeah, 13-10.
Wow, 13-10. Okay. What was the over-under?
The over-under is 37 points.
Wow. Okay. According to Prisco, both teams are coming off bad home losses. The Raiders have been considering a quarterback change, while a lot of folks in Cleveland wouldn't mind one. Well, why don't you ship off Deshaun Watson somewhere else? Like, I don't know, maybe
Miami,
to a government black site. Anyway, Deshaun Watson is not playing well. I think that he will pick it up here, according to Pete Prisco, and play better this weekend against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Browns win their second road game of the season, 23-17. Yeah, I don't think so. Myles Garrett, I believe, is out. Yeah. Didn't he just have surgery?
I'm not sure.
Didn't he? I think he did. So Myles Garrett listed as questionable. He's got a foot, Achilles, and a thigh injury. He was limited. Maybe he avoided surgery. He was a limited participant in Thursday's practice session. But the fact that he has 3 separate injuries, that's a bit concerning. He's not going to be the same Myles Garrett that you would see in a game. The Browns are also down Jerome Ford, Pierce Strong for their running backs. They are both listed as questionable and limited for Ford, and Strong did not practice this week. David Njoku, another big one for a tight end option for Deshaun Watson. He did return to practice on Thursday as limited, but clearly, anytime a player comes back from injuries like this, they're going to be a little bit hampered in game one. Jordan Hicks, linebacker, listed as questionable with ribs and elbow. He did not practice on Wednesday. And then, of course, Nick Chubb has been out, listed Wednesday with a knee. According to Kevin Stefanski, he's doing well. He'll be reevaluated next week. They also have about, 6 more players listed as questionable. Alex Wright, Dalvin Tomlinson, DeJuan Jones, Javian Cohen, Joel Bitonio, and Wyatt Teller, like their entire offensive line. Jack Conklin and James Hudson and Jedrick Willis, the rest of their offensive line, all listed as questionable. Wow. Do they even have anybody to suit up on the offensive line is the question for Cleveland. Now the old Raiders, it's weird having the Raiders in Vegas. Max Crosby listed as questionable, did not participate in Thursday's practice. That's probably out of an abundance of caution right now. He has a little bit of an ankle issue. Devontae Adams, their number 1 wide receiver, also listed as questionable with a hammy. Now, that one makes me a little bit concerned that they won't have much of an option for a threat downfield. Both linebackers, Mwaga and Diablo, listed as questionable, did not participate in practice. Safety and cornerback Marcus Epps and DeCamarion Richardson. Epps is on injured reserve as the 24th, and Richardson is questionable. And prior to that was prior to the previous game, so nothing really has changed. I'm going to go ahead and take, I don't know why. I'm going to go ahead and take, I got to look at something real quick. I think I'm going to take the Minshew Meister in this one.
Rico.
Yeah, I think between Gardner Minshew and Zamir White, they might find a way to run the ball this week. I think that they're going to find, with all the injuries they have on the other side of the ball there, they might find a way to run the ball. I think that's the only option you really have. Did we know what Las Vegas's record is right now?
Let's see. I can tell you in 1 second.
But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and take the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders have 1 win on the season so far.
That's terrible. 23-17 is what Prisco has for the Browns. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna go 23-17 for the Raiders.
The Raiders.
All right, up next is the Bills Ravens. Man, this is going to be a fantastic Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think Josh Allen is on fire right now. All right, fire away. What you got?
So it's Buffalo Bills at the Ravens, and the Ravens are favored by 2.5. The over-under is 46.5. And everybody wants the Buffalo Bills. 64% of bets have been placed on the Buffalo Bills. Well, it's a good thing I'm not betting on this game, because I have the home team winning this game. The Baltimore Ravens are going to pull it out of their butt, and they're going to take down the undefeated Buffalo Bills and put them at 3-1, and they're going to go to 2-2. The Baltimore Ravens are going to win this game 28-27. And they're finally going to use Derrick Henry, my running back in fantasy football, and he's going to do something.
First, I will say that I'm extremely surprised that Derrick Henry has been late to the party. Like, extremely late.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills right now. We'll start with the injury report. Terrell Bernard, linebacker, is out. He's got a pectoral. A lot of pecs this weekend, apparently, in the NFL. Tylen Grable, offensive tackle, has been sent to IR with an abdomen issue. And Khair Elam, corner, is listed as questionable, should play. Teron Johnson, corner, he is also out with a forearm injury. And everyone else was prior to the season starting. Ravens. Baltimore Ravens, they lost. Oh, they didn't lose anybody. Jalen Armour Davis, corner, listed as questionable. He left this last Sunday's game against the Cowboys with a hammy. Everybody else, Lalu, Linderbaum, and Voorhees, all offensive linemen, listed as questionable. So the offensive line's a little beat up, and Buffalo Bills have been playing, completely out of their minds this season. If I were to take a look at Buffalo's depth chart right now, it's interesting, right? You got Josh Allen, James Cook, Khalil Shakir, wide receiver, Keon Coleman, who's really done nothing, Mac Hollins, Dalton Kincaid at tight end. You got Reggie Gilliam at fullback, and then their offensive line has been playing really well. On the defensive side of the ball, the guy that I really wanted the Lions to grab this year, AJ Epinesa. And so far through 3 games, he's got 6 tackles and a sack. Now, I don't know all of his PFF grades as far as how many snaps he was playing, but he was barely playing 50%, prior to that. I'm wondering if he's been able to get a little bit more snap time, in this defense. But clearly, it was a very smart move for them to keep AJ Epinesa. Had he made his way to the Lions, man, I think between him or, I love Davenport, but AJ Epinesa was the guy. Like, that was the guy we needed to go after. And I'm surprised that the Lions didn't. Who knows if they really did, but their defense is extremely healthy. Extremely healthy. The guys that are injured are just backups besides their nickelback, Teron Johnson. So they'll be able to flip that around and find somebody to pick, or somebody to pick up, for Johnson. So Prisco has Ravens winning 24-21. You have the Ravens winning 28-27, and I have the Buffalo Bills winning 26-20.
26. That's a weird one.
Gotta have a weird one. Gotta have a weird one. Something's gonna happen. All right, next up, we've got the Tennessee Titans and the Miami Dolphins.
Snooze fest. The Titans are at Miami. The spread is 1 point for Miami. They don't even get the normal 3 for being home. 36 is your over-under, which is super incredibly low. And 54% of the bets are going to Tennessee. These are 2 bottom-feeding teams. Yeah, so I have Tennessee losing to the Miami Dolphins 14-10.
Yeah, I just can't trust Miami without Tua. And Tua's not playing. Tua's out. His career may be over. And because of that, I feel like Miami just doesn't have enough with Skyler, leading the charge here. Let's take a quick look at the injury report and see what we can see. Is there going to be anything here that makes any sense to help us pick a winner? Well, Miami is in trouble. Kendall Fuller, Taron Armstead, concussions. Malik Washington, quadriceps. Raheem Mostert, chest injury. Saran Neal, questionable. Ingold, questionable. Skylar Thompson, their backup quarterback, rib injury, but he did practice in a limited capacity on Thursday. Who's behind him, right? Who's behind Skylar Thompson? Was that Boyle?
It's Tim Mother effing Boyle.
Yeah, it's Boyle. I mean, come on. I think that tells you enough.
Hey, I once caught a ball from Tim Boyle.
That just tells you how badly he threw it.
That's my claim to fame. I went to the Vikings game at the Vikings, and do you remember when him and Williams would always throw the ball up into the crowd and have him throw it back? Well, Tim Boyle threw me the ball. I got it on video and everything, and then I threw it back to him.
Yeah, well, I think that was Tim Boyle trying to probably pass to somebody in the end zone. He just,
I believe in Tim Boyle. I'm taking
it. Pete's, dude. I don't know if I can have you on the show anymore.
12.
All right, Buffalo Bills hit Baltimore Ravens. This is a big game for AFC superiority. I'm sorry, we're on the wrong team. Miami and Tennessee. The Titans are 0-3, and the Dolphins have major issues at quarterback without Tua. Tennessee went into Miami and rallied last year to beat the Dolphins behind Will Levis. He hasn't been the same quarterback this year, turning it over way too often. But according to Pete Prisco, he feels like Levis can have some success and the Titans will win it. What was your score again? You had Miami, Tennessee, Miami winning?
Yeah, 14-10. Miami.
14-10. Well, you know darn well I'm not taking Miami. So
come on.
No way. Nope. Not without Tua. This team doesn't win another game.
Tim Boyle's going to start this game, and he's going to win it. You watch.
Well, Skyler's going to start the game, but there is no way. There's no way the Dolphins win a game without Tua. I just don't see it. Odell Beckham's out. Tua Tagovailoa's out. Grant Dubose, Patrick McNorris, Cam Smith, Isaac Wynn, Cameron Good, Bradley Chubb, River Crocraft, Anthony Swartz, Cam Brown, Grayson Murphy, Kyan Smith, Taj Washington, all on injured reserve.
MASH unit.
It's like half the team. There's literally 20 some odd players on the injured. I've never seen a report like this. I mean, I got to just show people this. Like, this is nuts. Where's my thing at? Here we go.
But listen, this is going to be the snooze fest of the weekend right here. This is like, it's the early Monday night game, and everyone's going to just shut it off and go to our game because nobody cares about either one of those teams this year.
Yeah, this is craziness.
That'll end up being one of the lowest rated Monday night games of all time.
What will be?
The Tennessee Titans in Miami.
Oh, you're talking about the Lions. I'm like, what?
No. Because there's 2 Monday night games this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tennessee and Miami is the early game. And it's going to be, oh, God, what a snooze fest that's going to be.
If I had $1 for every time you said snooze fest.
Yeah. You'd have $4. You're rich.
All right, here we go. Let me just show you guys. This is nuts. This is craziness. Look at these injury reports. All right. Arizona. That's about as clean of a report as you're going to see. Falcons. Look at all the IRs. Right? Ooh. It gets even worse. Look at the Ravens. Look at all the, half IR, half questionable. Bills. That one's probably one of the better ones, but almost everyone's on IR, outside of the players playing prior to August 27th, though. A lot of players on IR. Then we start getting a little deeper with the Panthers. You've got, 16 players there? Look at all the IRs. Then the Bears. Holy shnikes. A lot of questionable, a lot of IR. Bengals. That one's pretty clean. This one, the Browns, not as many IRs, but a lot of questionables. Then you get into the IR. Cowboys, same thing. Lions, this is not good. You just look at our team is decimated right now. Look at all those. Packers, same thing. Craziness. Texans, same thing. I have never seen this many injuries.
Yeah.
To start a season.
But that puts all the teams on a level playing field also, Yeah,
so look at this one. Look at the Rams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 IRs are out. Here's another one. Who is this? This is the Dolphins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 IR are out. It's just, it's crazy. I mean, look at this one. This is the Giants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7.
I wonder who the healthiest overall team in the NFL is.
I mean, I think you just got to look at the injury report and see who has the least amount. But
Yeah.
I'm just rolling through them. Rolling through. You guys can see it. I mean, this might be the healthiest team right here, the Washington Commanders. They got 8 guys total. Tennessee Titans, same thing. So this is what you deal with. This is what you deal with in the NFL. I mean, it's not if, it's when, right? So we're talking, where were we at? We were talking Miami, right?
Yep.
Miami, Tennessee. Yeah, even though Miami's at home, I'm going to have Tennessee winning this game. I just think that Miami is going to be too banged up. I'm going to flip it. Pete has it 25-21. I don't think Tennessee scores that many points, but I don't think Miami does either. So I'm going to go ahead and slide Tennessee in at, we'll go 17 to Miami's 13. Couple field goals in the tutty for Miami. Tennessee wins. Last game of the week is the best game of the week. Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions.
Heck yeah. You guys ready for this one? So the Detroit Lions originally, before the season start, were 5.5 point favorites. Well, now it's 3.5 points. So it's dropped a couple points. Originally, the over-under was at 49 points. Well, now the over-under is at 46. So it's Lions by 3.5 and over-under of 46. The Detroit Lions have had 74% of the bets placed on them. Well, there's a few things to look at on this one. The Detroit Lions defense is ranked number 3 overall by PFF, but the Seattle Seahawks defense is rated number 1. Number 1. And then if we look at the offenses, they are also very close. So the Seattle's offense is ranked number 8, and the Detroit Lions come in at number 10. So they outrank us in both categories by just a little bit. Now, before the season started, I predicted a huge win for the Lions over the Seahawks, 42-17. But I've come back down to earth a little bit because both these teams have pretty good defenses. And I think it's going to be a touchdown that wins this game. I am taking the Detroit Lions to win 24-17.
You got the Lions 24-17.
Yeah, so it's right in line with that 46 over-under. So just a little bit on the under. A lot of unders this year. So
Okay.
I'm sticking with the under.
Well, I would say this. It's going to be critically important for the Lions to keep the Seattle Seahawks under 20 points. If the Seattle Seahawks are able to score more than 20 points inside Ford Field, we've got a problem. And if they score more than 20, we lose this game is what I'm thinking, because our offense has been slow to start. If Ben Johnson is not a mixologist in this game, this defense can get after us. And I think that the major matchup here is not what you think. The matchup is going to be Devon Witherspoon and Terrion Arnold. Who's going to have the better game? Devon Witherspoon and Carlton Davis. Who's going to have the better game? I think that that's where this game is going to be won. But it's not passes defensed. It's not interceptions. It's penalties. Can Terrion Arnold keep his damn hands in his pockets? I don't know. I don't know if he can. And I don't want him to change it. That's the thing. It's a double-edged sword. I don't want him to change what he's doing. I just want him to not get these stupid ticky-tacky penalties. If you allow Geno Smith to get into the red zone because of a penalty, they will score. The one thing that I am not worried about right now, even with Davenport out, is the run game. I do not believe that any team, as long as the Lions stay as healthy as they are right now and better, they're going to continue this trend of stopping teams, against the run, right? They're not going to allow teams to run. You're going to make Geno have to put the ball up. And that is where, again, it's a double-edged sword. Are which defense is going to show up? Are we going to get the overzealous Aiden Hutchinson that gets too far beyond Geno and Geno gashes him? Last year, Aiden let up more than 700 yards off of his containment zone and his rushing lanes where he was supposed to be there to stop the running back or to stop the quarterback. 700 yards within like the first 8 games of the season. That is a ton. That can't happen. And a lot of it came at the hands of, I think it was Tony Pollard and Dak Prescott and Geno Smith and who was the running back last year for the Seahawks? It was Walker, but I thought there was somebody else in last year.
Yeah, they did. They had a different one.
I don't remember. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is, are we going to get the overzealous Lions or are we going to get the under control Lions? How good is Alex Anzalone going to play in this game coming back from a concussion? Alex Anzalone kind of fits that same box that Aiden does. He kind of gets overzealous at times too, and he often bites. He bites down on the fake handoffs. He'll bite down on play action, and that can lead him to getting in trouble too against mobile quarterbacks. And let me say that again, against dual quarterbacks, dual threat. They're gonna have to play smart. But at the end of the day, you brought up a few stats, right? You brought up the fact that the Seattle Seahawks defense right now rated number 1 overall by PFF. They're 8th in run, 7th in tackle, number 1 in coverage, but 14 in the pass rush. So JG is going to be under pressure. The question is this offensive line as banged up as it is without Ragnow? Are they going to be able to contain the pass rush and allow JG to have at least 2.8 seconds of time to get the ball off? But furthermore, is Ben Johnson going to mix it up enough to allow this defense or allow this offense an opportunity to get the ball out? Now we've brought up Allen Robinson. We've brought up Tim Patrick. I think that could mean that the Lions may have some decoys out there for deep routes. And you might see these guys running underneath and running more crossers, Tim Patrick and Allen Robinson, which would not be typical. But I do believe that there's an opportunity to run both of those guys across the middle of the field, put a bigger body out there. Jared Goff can throw the ball a little bit higher, and they can go up and get it, which is going to help eliminate, a lot of these potential interceptions over the middle. Tight balls having to be thrown in tight windows, lower, at the chest where, again, those get picked off more. My concern is JG can't overthrow because that'll end up in the hands of a safety. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in this game. I think there's many ways that you can, pluck some feathers here. They're just going to have to be smart. The offense is going to have to pound the rock. And then we're going to have to utilize play action against the Seahawks to get them to bite down so that we can open up these quick hitters across the middle. The out passes, the out routes, it's not JG's favorite ball, at least from watching him the last few seasons. It's not the pass that he loves, but we might have to utilize it more to the inside, shoulder to the sideline, not the inside to the, middle of the field. It's, towards the boundary. I think that's the shoulder you've got to target in these games, not the other way. Those balls ends up, usually in the hands of a cornerback if there's any miscommunication at all. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think that the Lions, if they do a few things right in this game, they can totally dominate it. But if they don't do, the little things, then the big things can't happen. And that's where I get a little bit concerned because this is a very well-coached Seattle Seahawks team. They have a very good defense. They've got the right players. And their offense, it can be extremely dynamic. They can be multiple. They pose a lot of different threats. Detroit Lions injury report. We've gone over it. Alex Anzalone should play. Brian Branch could play. Not that I want him to, but that would be a big loss. especially if Efetu Melifonwu is out. Dan Skipper, I expect him to play. Not that he's really needed, but, I expect him to play. Levi O, he should play. Sam Laporta, I've heard, is not playing. We'll see what happens come Monday. Frank Ragnow's already ruled out. Marcus Davenport is gone for the season. Hopefully we see him back next year. Derek Barnes is also on injured reserve. You're going to see a lot of Jalen Reeves-Maben in this game. He will get to start this weekend at the Sam linebacker position. I said it again. I got to do 10 push-ups now. Dang it. Ennis the Menace, he's questionable. Efetu Melifonwu is also questionable. I'm not expecting Melly to play based on what I've read, but based on what I've heard, he's supposed to play. He should be ready, but we'll see come Monday. Oli McNeil's trending in the right direction. Again, it's one that is all up in the air right now. The Lions are going to have to play this little cat and mouse game, with the injury report until Monday. Monday is when we find out everything. Seattle Seahawks, we've gone through some of their injuries already today. I'll recap it real quick, and then I'll give you my score, and then we're going to get out of here because I got to be right back on here in an hour.
We've done almost 3 hours today.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I would like to do 3 hours, but I would like to start at 7 a.m. to do it.
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks, Derek Hall. He's listed as questionable. Nwasu is also questionable. He was listed as a did not practice on Thursday, but what we read from another site said that he did practice. So that's a little weird to me that ESPN has that wrong. Boye Mafe has been a big part of this Seattle's defense. He's also listed as questionable. He did not practice on Thursday. That would be a big loss for them. Jerome Baker is listed as questionable. He's got a hamstring. He also did not practice on Thursday. It'd be interesting to see if our guest at noon will have some more information. Laken Tomlinson, former Detroit Lion, listed as questionable. Jonathan Hankins, their biggest threat there in the middle of this defense. Defensive tackle is questionable. Look, the Seahawks got a lot of injuries. Kenneth Walker, limited capacity in practice. Noah Fant, tight end, limited capacity in practice. So there's some issues here. But overall, I would say that Seattle is much healthier than the Lions. Much healthier. And that could be what this game comes down to. According to Pete Prisco, he says this is a big proving game for the Seattle Seahawks, and I think that is the biggest point that both Eric and I agree on here. Who have they played? Who?
Yeah.
Did we already go over, what the other teams were ranked, Eric? That they went up against the Broncos, the Dolphins, and who was the other team?
New England.
New England, yeah.
Yeah. None of them are top tier teams. Listen, they're all bottom feeders. So if you look at the defense and you go to the bottom, and we'll start our way up from the bottom. And the first one we run into is the Miami Dolphins at 24, the Denver Broncos at 22, and then New England is all the way up at 13.
And those are overall, right?
Yeah, for their defenses. And then offenses, I'm going to go right down to the bottom. Number 32, the Denver Broncos. And then we keep going up and up and up and up. And let's see if we can find any of these other guys. So who were the other two teams? It was
the Broncos, the Patriots,
and Miami at 22.
The Dolphins.
Yep. So the Denver Broncos are 32 in offense. New England is 24 in offense, and Miami is 22.
Yeah. So I think the numbers are kind of stacked against Seattle, that they haven't gone up against the greatest competition so far this season. But none of that's going to matter until what happens on Monday. It's all about what these teams do to install a really good, plan going up against a really good opponent. I mean, these are both evenly matched teams on paper, and paper doesn't matter. I always call it the paper tiger, right? You got great scores on paper, doesn't mean a damn thing in the game. You've got to play to that ability. And the Lions so far have fought through their ability to play tough. Their defense has showed up more than their offense. And their defense is starting to show. They're starting to show nuances in their game that are different than years past. And I think that that is a big benefit to what Aaron Glenn, Terrell Williams, and others are doing. Here's my score, and then we're going to walk away. Lions are going to win this game. Lions offense is going to show up. They're going to pound the rock early. And then the play action pass is going to come alive in the third quarter for once. And the Lions are going to extend their lead in the third quarter and actually score a touchdown in the third quarter.
Can we please score a touchdown in the third quarter? Please, please, please.
Right. So that's my biggest call of the game. The Lions are going to fix their third quarter woes. It happens in week 4 before the bye week. Pete Prisco has this 27-20 for the Lions. I forget what the over-under is, but I'm just going to do it 31-19.
Ooh, wow, you're going over.
I got to keep Seattle under 20. They might score more points, but I've got to keep them under 20. The Lions really need to try to keep them under 20.
Well, with that's
the goal every week.
With that score that you just put out, if that happens, I want to see 2 touchdowns, 2 scores in the third quarter.
Yeah, I just want to see 1. Let's get 1. let's just get 1.
Yeah, we had 1 against the Rams.
I just want to see 1. That's it. Just want to see 1.
We haven't had a third quarter score since.
Yeah. All right, so that's it. Long show, 51 minutes over, 3 hours today. Who cares?
Yeah.
I'll be back in an hour anyway.
All right.
Thanks, you guys have a great morning. Eric, thanks for hanging around today. Yeah. And we'll be back, or I'll be back in an hour with Seahawks Forever podcast. And we'll break it down a little bit deeper. I just want to hear what he has to say. Whether you come back and join us or not, that's up to you. Just turn it on and listen while you're at work. You don't need to watch. Just listen. All right, you guys have a great day. Go on Pride, go Detroit Lions. And again, appreciate all the Seahawks fans in the chat today for keeping it kosher and having fun. That's what it's all about. Football and family and togetherness, and fans don't always have to do this all the time. We can actually come together in a space and have some fun with it. So you guys have a great day. We'll see you here in a little bit. Go on Pride, go Detroit Lions. Take care. Bye-bye.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future.